The college football experience, Big 12 and Pac-12 and Independence preview on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
You are not healthy and you are sick, Dundee, buddy.
Sick Dundee coming at you. Yeah, I've been feeling like shit. That's because there's no football on the TV.
But you are self-medicating.
Yes, so. Blanton's. All right, do it right. Ride that horse. All right.
That's why you're feeling bad. Is because you went sober for a month.
That's true.
Lesson
That's
learned.
True. Right. I was trying to find God. Turns out God is really Brian Bosworth. All right. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi.
Just a couple weeks away from football. I wonder how many people turn us off because they hear me do some shit like that.
No, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna splice together your track. We're gonna have a Colby singing track on this. I'll release that album.
Third man in the booth is with us. Give it up for the Sunbelt Funbelt God himself, the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
Yes. The season is here. Yeah.
Jumping the gun. Not quite.
Yeah, it's just there. Right here, man. It's right here. I just gotta keep drinking, man.
Guys, I had to rock the Texas Longhorn shirt today. I'm not rocking any Sunbelt gear. We're big Texas fans on the podcast. We love what they're doing in college football for everybody. They're looking out for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Can't believe he's wearing the shirt.
Yeah, look at this.
Light that thing on fire.
Right.
This is funny. So we got this shirt, I think, when Colby and I were going to K-State at Texas. I don't know what, 8-10 years ago or something. Guys, we didn't have a dog in the fire. Like, maybe we'll get a Texas shirt, root for the home team. I think midway through we were like, fuck this. Let's root for Kansas State.
Yeah. K-State fans way cooler. True. We were at the bar. They were just way cooler. There's no other way to cut it. So yeah, we started rooting for, I mean, my heart's always been with K-State, man. I like K-State. I like what they're doing, and we're going to talk more about them. We're going to talk Big 12, the conference race. We're going to talk Pac-12, the conference race. We're going to talk independence. But before we get to that, we do have a lot of news. Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman, non-football injury, out indefinitely. It seems kind of scary the way that I know that Clausen said he thinks he's going to be back within the year, but it made me think like, I mean, it sounds terrible, but I thought like, what does he have, cancer or something? I have no idea. Like it seemed weird.
Herpes?
Yeah, that's true.
No, not to make light of it because we don't know. Have you heard anything else? Because they've been very tight-lipped. You would think by now some kind of information would have
Well,
come
that's
out.
what I'm saying. I think it's something very personal. So,
Yeah.
I don't think herpes would keep you out for the year.
Yeah, normally that passes a physical in football.
Right. Half of college football would be out.
Yeah, Michael Vick, man. I mean, come on, Ron Mexico.
Don't throw this man under the bus. Don't
Again,
name names.
We don't want to make fun of this but that's kind of what we do, right? So who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought Hartman for Heisman would get derailed quicker than Howell for Heisman last year? I mean, that took week 1 at Virginia Tech to blow that up. That whole campaign up. So this one
couldn't even get to week 0 here.
Yeah,
Come on,
blown up before that.
Dude, this is my thing. Wake Forest is just unlucky. They were one of the most injured teams last year. They lost their wideout before the season started last year. You go back, losing Beal Smith, losing Kenneth Walker, I think, and then remember a couple years ago they were supposed to be really good, and then Jamie Newman transferred to Georgia. They just have bad luck, man. They just have bad luck.
It's come full circle because when Jamie Newman transferred, that reopened the door for Sam Hartman.
Yeah,
he started some before that, lost the job to Newman, and there you go. He got his second chance. But yeah, unfortunate. I think we all hate to see it. I don't care if you're a Wake Forest fan or not. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they had some high expectations this year, and obviously it's a big blow.
What year is Hartman?
He's only a junior, but he's been there 35 years.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He got injured when he played early, and then the second year he only played a couple games, so they used the red shirt then. And then so he is only a junior, believe it or not. And I wonder if he'll get another red shirt if this is a serious
two more years.
Event.
He's going to be the Chris Winkie.
Yeah.
Chris Winkie of 2025.
Other news, Alabama wideout JoJo Early out 6 to 8 weeks. James Madison safety Deion Jones, who transferred in from Boston College, seemed like he could be a starter, retires from football, and cornerback Antonio Webb for the Dukes hit the portal.
I mean,
I'm flipping my over to under on the JMU Dukes.
A little late in the process for all this stuff to be happening.
What's going on down there?
I was barely on the over just to rep in the first place. I think it might be a tough year.
I think Deion Jones went down there, started eating the burritos.
Yeah.
And then when he went to go play on the field, they're like, whoa, this guy.
There's only one man that can eat a burrito on a sideline. And it ain't you, homie.
Hey, Terrell Furman, this is actually live, not fake live. What's going on, man?
Yeah, we're really live right now. We're really, really live. Big Ten deal. NBC. I kind of like what's going on here because a little competition. The Big Ten had been with ESPN since 1982, and they had been with ABC since 1965, I believe. They are basically doing a deal. It's being reported for $350 million with NBC, CBS, and mostly Fox. Basically saying "fuck you" to the ESPN, and apparently, from what I understand, the Big Ten's been mad at ESPN for their favoritism to the SEC recently. So they are doing this. They didn't even hear him out for a little offer. They just said "fuck you." It is interesting because, obviously, ESPN has the ACC and the SEC, but I think ESPN kind of went early on their deal with the SEC. I think at the end of this. Well, not at the end of this, I guess. Right when this happens, this contract goes into effect. Once it's official, the Big Ten schools will be making more money than the SEC schools by a decent amount because the contract and where they signed it. But who knows what happens? But I do think it wipes out the slate for ESPN to have big. So basically, ESPN needs other conferences. So it actually. From what I understand, and I said this is GBO Farms in the chat talking about, the Pac-12's death. I actually think this improves the Pac-12's chances and it increases their value because ESPN needs college football games, and Pac-12 actually charts a lot better than the Big 12.
Yeah, and that might go to Joe Hackney's point. Maybe the Pac-12 raids the Mountain West. If the Pac-12 is deemed to be on stable ground, then it would be attractive to Mountain West schools. If we think the whole conference is going to fold, then the Mountain West schools might be like, we're okay. We're just, we got a solid conference here. We're not going to take that leap. But if they have some talks, some promises from ESPN, maybe that's how you salvage the Pac-12.
No, I also think it helps the Big 12, their value, because ESPN needs games. Yep. All right. If you don't, there's only 16 teams in this SEC. So you're going to need games. And so I think it increases the value in the Big 12 and the Pac-12, but especially the Pac-12 because they do a lot better from a TV market standpoint. I read some thing about the past 5 years. And I think we covered this on the show.
We did.
The top 5 teams, if you were to take the remaining Big 12 and the remaining Pac-12, that would be of value, which seems like TV money is the real value in the sport. Believe it or not, Big 12 wouldn't have one in the top 5. It would go all Pac-12 as the top 5 most valuable schools, essentially. Markets.
Yeah, and we talked about that. A lot of that's because some of those Pac-12 schools are in big population centers, and the Big 12 schools are not. Yeah,
and I do expect, if the Pac-12 gets a big deal, which will be announced probably within by the end of August, I expect them to make a run at potentially San Diego State and another school that I'll mention here in a second.
So wait, are we? We're saying right now the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are both, their deals expire within 2025. Pac-12 is up next year, right? Or within the next 2 years?
I think the Big 12's I think Pac-12 is the first one up.
Yeah.
Then I think
that's
it's
within
Big
the
12.
next year or two, right? Yeah.
So
and then Big 12's up in 2025.
I believe so.
And how do you even negotiate with the Pac-12 now? Is it just with those 10 schools?
That's what's going to be very interesting. But I think they're going to learn their value. But I think they want to have a footprint. Klavikov was talking about playing regular season games in LA. Yeah. Because we need Southern California. Well, I think San Diego State is a no-brainer for them from a football and basketball and baseball. For sure. You're any sports that will make any money.
Baseball. Do we have to check with Noah?
Yeah, Aztecs. They keep a good program.
Do they? Okay.
And
Colby's part of the college baseball experience. Come on,
buddy. He knows Noah's the brains of that.
Yeah, Colby's the figurehead.
Yeah. It's like, who are we talking about? But I also think that there's been rumblings, and I think this one might make a little sense here.
Do you have sources?
SMU might be a juggernaut very soon. They have a NIL collective going over $3 million, where they're going to pay every college football player and college basketball player on the roster a minimum of $36,000. SMU's not fucking around, dude. And I think to keep your recruiting edge in Texas, if the Pac-12 added San Diego State and SMU, watch out, because Eric Dickerson is also lobbying to get them into the Pac-12. Eric Dickerson resides in Malibu, California, so he's trying to get SMU into the Pac-12. They have fuck you money, so you better watch out with SMU. And I think that could be a very attractive get if you get the city of Dallas and Southern California with San Diego State. I think the Pac-12 might really sustain itself and end up in a decent spot.
Well, SMU has to be in the crosshairs of any conference that wants to expand right now.
Well, I think
they make a ton of sense.
True, but the Big 12, I mean, they already have Dallas with TCU, so it makes it kind of an interesting deal there.
You know, the median U.S. Salary per individual in 2020, which is the most recent I can find, is $41,000. Those people have to pay freaking rent.
Man, I wish I was making that much.
Yeah.
It's like the average freaking person in the United States is going to be much more poor than the worst bench warming 18-year-old.
Yeah,
on SMU, and that's about to probably happen across the board.
Well, dude, and that's the minimum. They said they're going to play other players more. They have a lot of money, so.
And sorry, but that average Midwesterner, he can't play football as good as that guy on SMU. So, dude, what's he bringing to the table?
Yeah,
you legit at this point say, hey, you need to go to college and make money. This is it. I mean, and then if USFL blows up, football could be a much bigger paying opportunity in people's lives moving forward. Starting in college,
XFL, you got all that shit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I mean that's a pretty fucking big deal. $350 million for Big Ten, NBC, CBS, and Fox.
I do love the fact that ESPN has some competition now, though.
I do too, and I think it was smart. As much as I wanted the 12-team playoff right away, I think if Kevin Warren was smart to feel out like, hey, we're gonna go to the highest bidder, and basically we haven't been happy with ESPN, and we've thought they've been favoring the SEC from a coverage point of view.
Right.
So
it's only going to happen worse now, though. Like ESPN, they gave no love whatsoever to the USFL. No highlights. No talk about it. You couldn't even find box scores on the ESPN website. So it's going to be interesting to see how they cover the Big Ten, because if they totally neglect it, then I think people are going to go to other, sources. Because come on, you have to cover the Big Ten. Exactly. This is how we take over the world.
There we go.
Well, they're going to drive either way. Like
competition's good. What's more American than competition?
It should be good. But Fox's website, foxsports.com, is absolute garbage. It is one of the worst sports websites. They need to.
I haven't checked it since '98. But other news: Nick Rolovich suing the University of Washington State for $25 million for wrongfully firing him, and he's got a decent case. It's gonna be interesting to see. He's basically saying "fuck you" to them. What else do we got? Eli Drinkwitz named as starting quarterback. Sophomore Brady Cook will be the starter at Mizzou. Cale Gundy. How about this? We're about to talk Big 12. Cale Gundy was brother of Mike Gundy, a longtime assistant for Oklahoma. So he is out with, I don't even know what the fuck happened here, but he definitely said some fucked up shit.
I figure he dropped an N-bomb in a meeting.
Yeah. But it wasn't his words, apparently. I mean, there's a lot of speculation on what the hell happened here. Regardless, he's fired.
There's turmoil. You got to be smarter.
Yeah, there's turmoil in Norman, and the preseason polls came out. Coaches poll. It's the first time since 2000 that LSU has not been in the top 25. Guys,
wow.
What do you make of that? Preseason polls suck ass.
Disrespect on Brian Kelly.
My stance on preseason polls is they suck ass. They kill the sport. They're terrible for the sport. They only had 2 group of 5s in the top 25. And if you look at like the past 10 years, there's been like 5 group of 5s that end up in the top 25 at the end. So why not go into the season giving some fucking love to the group of 5, you pieces of shit. I hate preseason polls are the worst.
Well, Texas got a vote
for number 1.
For number 1 in the country. What has changed about this
team? Say no
team?
more. Say no more.
Hey, okay, we're about to hop into the conferences, but I do want to address Kratom Breath on iTunes. Kratom Breath. This is his review. I respect how much these guys grind on their sports studies. They're clearly hardworking and dedicated. God help you if a team they're discussing loses or receives a transfer from a rival school, though. They play loud gunshots and then they moan about the newly emancipated players' lack of care for rivalries. And then they say they're soft. They compare them unfavorably to themselves. Basically every annoying boomer angle you can think of, over and over and over for every team. It's the worst 1 to 3 minutes in entertainment, and I'm going to crash my car in my rush hour, fast forward through it one day. I think he fucked up there. But anyway, he gave us 3 stars, and Kratom Breath, thank you for listening. All right, Kratom Breath. But let me push back on you, and I can show you a good place to crash. All right, look, this is sports. This is what we do. It doesn't matter the sport, right? You like a team. You don't want to ever see Tom Brady play for the fucking New York Jets. All right. When you go to rivals, it defeats sports. All right. It's not good for the product. We don't want to see Bryce Young transfer to Auburn. I don't want to. I never want to see that.
Let me tell you about the thing too. Like, this is me being a boomer, which, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but what I notice is that no matter what, if you are not the most like pro player in every fucking situation, like, then you're all of a sudden a boomer. And it's like, dude, we are now talking about transferring to your fucking arch rival.
Yeah.
Right.
Transfer anywhere else. And
that's a problem. That's a problem because we're not player friendly. Well, it's fucking sports.
Players deserve the right to be able to transfer to their rival just like anywhere else, but expect a little, blowback as well. I mean, do we want it to all be, NBA, kumbaya, we're all in this shit together bullshit? I mean, come on.
No.
Why don't you go
Exactly.
give a fucking hand job to all the players if you're so fucking player friendly?
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous to think that we want to see all these players go from there. Like going from Mississippi State to Ole Miss is fucking terrible. I don't care any way you cut it. You can transfer to South Carolina. I won't say a fucking word. All right.
We are now past our 3-minute mark.
To a arch rival. It is horrible. It's horrible for the sport.
He's probably already crashed his car by now. All right.
And look,
GBO Farms. That's exactly what I laughed at when he said emancipated. Emancipated. That's a strong word for a guy that wasn't getting enough burn at one school, so he goes right down the road. But hey, people are entitled to their opinions.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But anyway, I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Hey, but we do have a good grind. All right. All right, now, look, when Action Sports calls, I will switch over to them. I'm fucking around. I would not do that. All right, folks, let's get into it. But before we get into it, I got to get us paid. I want to tell you that the college football experience, Big 12, Pac-12, and don't forget about the independents. Patty C's always repping the independents.
Boom.
Preview on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WinBet. Bet $100 at WinBet and get $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by Odds Trader. Yeah, you're probably wondering, what is Odds Trader? Odds Trader is a place to compare odds from all the major sports books. You can even compare the sign-up codes and promo codes from sportsbook to sportsbook to assure that you get the best deal possible. The app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, and projected game day weather for bettors who make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker, so you can keep track of all your bets, no matter the sport. That's pretty fantastic. So go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. That's OddsTrader, the #1 site for all your game day bets. All right, folks, we are here. We are firing away. We are talking Big 12 football, guys. Let's hop into this. Last time I went from best to first on projection. I'm gonna reverse that. I think I fucked that up last week with the ACC and Mountain West. So the odds to win the conference at 2,500 to 1. The Kansas Jayhawks, my boys, last year.
A little sprinkle.
Hey, sprinkle that. Sprinkle that.
It is out of your mind.
They were going bowling. That's a take.
That is a
Kansas
take.
is bowling this year. Talk to me. All right. I'm locking up the over 2.5 wins, guys. I'm locking that thing up. I think this team is going to be just a lot the better. You saw them buy in the final 3 games of the season. And I think last year he didn't get spring ball. This year he will get spring ball. He did get spring ball, I should say.
I need more than 3 games to put a lock on it. Yes, I'm leaning over.
No, they're just going to be a lot better. They also had a top 25 transfer portal class.
I think they'll be. They might get 3, might get 4.
Six, buddy.
I don't know, man.
6.
I'm not stating a case for Kansas here, but I will state that I think the Big 12 is as wide open as it's been in a while. I don't think Oklahoma really has a stranglehold anymore. I mean,
it's wide open, but it's no less competitive. Like,
it's very competitive.
Yeah. No, the floor has come up some with Kansas,
and the ceiling has come down some. I'd say.
Yeah. So
but the quality of the conference as a whole is pretty high, I would say.
I would say this is what makes, like I was telling Patty C pre-episode, the Big Ten and SEC are somewhat boring to me because I kind of know how it's going to shake out, right? And I mean, I'm still going to watch every fucking game. I'm just saying, I think it's going to be Georgia Bama in the SEC championship, and I'd be shocked if it was not any of those.
Now, Big Ten West is wild, but
yes,
they're going to lose to Ohio State. So,
or Michigan, could be Michigan. That's the compelling game, but that's already going to come down to the final game of the season. So I kind of find those conferences a little bit stale from the conference race point of view. Whereas the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, sign me up for that ride.
The lack of a, I guess, true elite team from those conferences, presumably, aside from what, Clemson, maybe, I guess Pitt, USC. None of those
elite.
I know
USC isn't elite.
When's
the last time USC was elite? It was Reggie Bush.
I'm just talking about the potential. When you have a 5-star quarterback and the Blitnikoff Award winner, and everyone's hyping you up, and you've been elite in the last 15 years, they have that ceiling. In other words, I don't know if they have it this year. But what I'm saying is those usually take the casual fan. I hate that term. Take their interest level down. And it kind of takes my interest level down a little bit.
Really?
A little bit.
TMZ Pat.
No, I mean, look, I find the conference race is interesting, but I still want to watch a conference that's able to produce a real contender, you know? And so
it's all bullshit
That's
anyway.
a slap in the face with the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, the American up until last year.
Well, and it's bullshit because
I think it's bullshit. Maybe if they were allowed to compete, they could win in the
what
playoff
is a
setting,
real contender when Oklahoma's played one back-to-back away game in 10 years?
All right,
I would argue some of these other teams have it's fucking bullshit from the start.
I'm just saying, given the system for what it is this year, can the ACC, Big 12, or the Pac-12 put a team A in the playoff at all, and then B, can they compete in the playoff once they get there?
Yes.
Who?
Sure. I mean, I think we're going to
Oklahoma, Utah. There's teams.
I mean, Oklahoma. They took Georgia to overtime in the Rose Bowl, right?
A couple years back.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 5 years ago, but I mean, I'm just saying that they're capable of it.
Sure.
It all matters the matchup. To tell you the truth,
Yeah,
like it all matters.
Georgia
the matchup.
coming down a little bit. I mean, Alabama is Alabama as usual, but other than that, I think the whole country is pretty wide. I mean, I'm not necessarily buying the Ohio State hype across the board. We'll see what.
I'm buying.
Who's the new Knowles? We'll see.
Knowles, yeah.
They got a long way to go on defense, man.
Well, save it for the Big Ten preview next week. All right, we got to talk Big 12 here, guys. I'm on the over in Kansas. Are you guys with me on that? You guys are all. I see you there. Yeah,
I'm with you. I'll lock it up with you.
You're going over 2.5.
I'm going over. I'm easing off the lock.
Okay.
By the way, guys, new to the chat, 3802er. He's been active today, saying them fighting words: tar and feather, Patty C immediately.
yes, exactly. TMZ Pat, you can always count on TMZ Pat.
Look, you can always count on hipster.
To rear his ugly head.
To fuck up a good show, a perfectly good show.
No one wants to hear a bunch of fucking hipsters talk college football. We have to keep it.
Hipsters is Texas football fans.
Keep it real. Like, true.
Is USC football fans. Those are all fucking hipsters.
That's true, but they're not college football hipsters. That's what makes them hipsters. Is their college football freaking TMZers.
Look, Texas Tech's odds 4,500. Wow. So Texas Tech's win total is 5.5. What do you feel about the Red Raiders and Joey McGuire, a new hire? I kind of think they're going to be an interesting watch. I took the over. I think they're going to go 6-6, but I think they're going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass for the whole conference this year. Zach Kitley coming in.
Kitley's the only thing that makes them at all compelling to me. I think they're going to be on the under. I got them on the under. But
huge game is week 2 versus Houston at home. You know, it's going to take you would assume it's going to take the Red Raiders and their new head coach, their new coordinators, a bunch of new players, a little bit of time to get on the same page. Meanwhile, Holgerson's had that program, looking pretty good lately. That's a huge game. I think if Texas Tech can beat Houston, I think they have a chance at hitting an over and going to a bowl. I think if they drop that game, followed by the trip all the way to my lovely city, Raleigh, North Carolina, and lose that one and go 1-2 out of conference, I think hitting 6 will be very difficult.
Watch it. Tyler Shuck got to fire that laser all around the field.
Just so the people know, I don't know if we need to explain this, but we're going bottom to top.
Bottom to top.
In terms of win total expectations here.
West Virginia's odds, the win total is 5.5 for Neil Brown. It's a make or break year for Brown. Potential of getting fired mid-season if shit hits the fan. Their odds are also third worst in the Big 12 at their 300-1. I'm sorry, 30-1. What do you make of West Virginia this year?
Semi potentially favorable, non-conference, not really.
Best offensive line they've had in the Brown era. JT Daniels, he's probably injured already. He's probably had sex with some girl at Morgantown and got injured. He's out for the year. But what are you guys doing, Nick? What are you doing with the Mountaineers?
I think I'm on the under, man. So in 3 years, his record has been 5-7, 6-4, and 6-7. So it makes sense to have this at 5.5. But I just don't see the upward trajectory with this program here. And I think there's a chance. There's always a chance when you got a coach on the hot seat that they're not going to make it through the whole year, and things could get ugly quickly if they lose to Pitt in the backyard brawl week 1, and then I mean, can your Jayhawks come into Morgantown and get a W?
Yes, they can.
It's possible, and if so, they have a layup against Towson after that, but then at Virginia Tech and at Texas. I mean, you could see a 1-4 potentially. I mean, that would be like worst case scenario. They could start like 1-4, and then it might be sayonara to Neil Brown.
That backyard brawl game is going to be bananas because I could totally see West Virginia winning that because of Narduzzi's transition offensive coordinator and Narduzzi questionable in-game decisions from a head coaching point of view. That game's going to be wild.
Well, look, I mean, I said worst case scenario is they start 1-4. Best case scenario, they start 4-1, and either is possible. Now, I think winning at Pitt and at Virginia Tech to get both those, I don't think West Virginia is good enough. But it's not like they can't. I mean, Virginia Tech, we have no idea what the Hokies are going to look like this year, and getting Pitt week 1 is beneficial. So
I feel sorry for Neil Brown, much like Carl Durrell and David Shaw. They have 11 Power 5s on the schedule. That's tough if you're trying to turn a program around, you know, which pretty much I guess Shaw would not be turning it around, but because he was there when they were really good. But I'm saying for Durrell and Brown,
if you're trying to maintain a program.
Yeah. It's just
trying to do
tough.
anything.
That is really tough.
Yeah.
Iowa State, guys. Iowa State the win total was at 6.5. 6.5. To what do you think of Matt Campbell bounce back year? This is one of my stronger plays. I like the over on the Cyclones, and I think on our locks episode right before the season kicks, you might be hearing me say Cyclones over 6.5 wins. Patty, see your thoughts.
Well, anything for the middle of the pack in the Big 12 is going to be about 50-50 games, but I think so. They got. What the 50-50 games that they face, I would say would be what Kansas State, West Virginia, and Texas Tech, maybe TCU, maybe even Texas. I don't know.
Everyone in the Big 12,
pretty much everyone in the Big 12. So I mean, two or three they should win in the non-conference, right? Southeast Missouri and Ohio rather, and then I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. I think there's enough there to get over.
Yeah, he's got some talent coming out at the running back and quarterback position. We just haven't seen it happen on the
field.
Of
course, you don't like to see it losing Brock Purdy or Breece Hall, but last year Iowa State had all the expectations and they fell short. That was your time to sell the Cyclones. This year it's time to buy the Cyclones at only 6.5. I'm all over the over. Sounds like all of us are, and everybody on the chat is. So
yeah.
Well, maybe that's concerning.
Yeah, I think what's good for them is that their games that they're probably going to lose anyway are on the road, and the games that they're probably going to win anyway are on the road, and the games that are most likely to be 50-50 games are all at home. So that lends itself to.
I mean, the road trips, at Texas, at Oklahoma State, I don't think they're probably going to lose those. Those sound like damn near coin flips.
Joe Hackney says he's going to the Bama. This is off topic here, but he's going to Bama, Tennessee. Is there any chance Tennessee knocks off Bama? Sure. At home, Bama's always good for one slip up. It seems like Tennessee gets their ass whooped by them though. But there was that one year. Was that Dooley? Was that in? I think that was in Tuscaloosa, if memory serves me correct. I don't remember.
Hold on, we're talking Tennessee.
Yeah, just a question.
Bama?
Yeah, they host them this year in Rocky Top.
Is that the game? Is that the type of game that Bama slips up on? I feel like they usually slip up on a really good team, like Ole Miss when they were top 10 or something.
Texas A&M wasn't really good last year.
Yeah, it's just the road games. You got to just circle the road games. I feel like that's the best way for them to lose. So I'll give it a decent. I mean, not a decent shot, but for a Bama loss, a decent shot. How about that?
But let's keep our eye on the prize. This is a Big 12. Come on, Joe. You're better than that, Joe.
He also says, "Is Iowa State the Big 12's NC State?"
That's when I was saying you should have sold last year by this year. In my mind, I was thinking NC State. So I completely agree, Joe.
I don't think so. I think NC State is like Texas.
Here comes the hate. How's NC State like Texas?
They always have talent. And they suck ass. All right, they Iowa State's more to me like Wake Forest. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts there. Guys, let's continue pushing along. Kansas State, 6.5 wins. Adrian Martinez, Deuce Vaughn. I like the receiving core. I like Chris Kleiman. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in America. I am smashing the over.
I'm smashing it too. They should go 3-0 in the non-conference. You think they beat Missouri at home?
I do. And then
South Dakota and Tulane are the other two games, both at home as well.
Yes.
3-0 before the conference play even starts.
Watch out in Norman too, man.
I think they're one of the better on the better half of the conference overall from coaching and talent perspective.
What do you make of the Wildcats, NC Nick?
Right there with you guys. Two of my favorite plays are the over on Iowa State, the over on Kansas State. I mean, they won 7 games last year, and that included a 6-point loss to Oklahoma and a 5-point loss at Texas. Both of those games could have went either way. I like Kansas State this year. Not too many people are talking about them. I think, what's their odds to win the Big 12? Let me pull that up real quick.
Plus one, basically, yeah. 12 or 120 to 1. So yeah.
Which one do you like better, them or Iowa State?
I like
That's a long shot.
Better. K-State.
I think I like K-State better too.
Or I'm sorry, 12 to 1. Why do I keep using that 0 and saying 120? 12 to 1 is my point. Anyway, I think. I mean, look, we're gonna get to it, guys. I have Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. Call me crazy.
Wow.
I just think that offense is going to be fire with Colin Klein. I think he's going to bring back the option because that's what he ran. I think he's going to. I don't think the whole game they'll be running out of the option, but I just think they're going to use Martinez and I think he's going to get creative.
What kind of option? I mean, they were running what?
They were doing speed option, right?
Speed option and read option, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like K-State's team. I think I kind of like the schedule too, the way it lines up. I think I like the over. I pretty much feel like my three best plays would be Kansas over, K-State over, Iowa State over. We're gonna get to some other ones, but TCU 6.5 as well. Same odds as K-State, 12 to 1 to win the Big 12. I am all over the under here, folks. I didn't like the higher, to tell you the truth. I know
you're a Sonny Dykes hater more than I am, but I kind of agree with you. It seems like it's soft. Talk about a culture shift, going from Gary Patterson to Sonny Dykes.
Yeah, I don't. Even the Duggan thing, and maybe Duggan doesn't start to go with the other guy that has played some in the air raid, but I don't know. I just don't really. I don't have a good feeling about the team. I know they're talented. They're decently talented, but as far as a roster standpoint, so he does walk into a decent scenario. But I don't know, just not buying in. What do you make of TCU, NC Nick?
So far, a lot of agreements. I'm on the under too. They went 5-7 last year. I don't see how this team wins 2 more games with the new coaching staff. Down the stretch for them, it was a mixed bag. They beat Baylor by a couple points, beat Kansas by a couple points at home, but I mean they got whipped by Iowa State 48-14 in the finale. At Oklahoma State before that, they got beat 63-17. Their road games, they were abysmal on the road, 1-4, and the 4 losses. I mean, they just got blown out. So I'm not on the Horned Frogs this year. I think it's I'll take a wait and see approach to see how the new coaching staff does. I'm definitely on the under here.
Yeah,
what do you guys think happens in their non-conference at Colorado? Week 1.
I think that's a dangerous game. I think if Colorado's going to win one, that would be like, I actually think Colorado's got a better chance of winning that than the Air Force game.
Yeah. For sure. Then Tarleton, but then at SMU,
I think that's dangerous.
Yeah. I think the under is the play. Does Sonny Dykes go crazy every time Duggan pulls it down and runs with it?
And they might not go with Duggan. From what I understand, they might go. I'm drawing a blank on the backup's name, but the backup is by far the better throwing quarterback, and that might fit Dykes' offense more. And then Duggan transfers out. Hey, go to Iowa.
Iowa, baby.
You win a national championship with that defense and Duggan at quarterback.
That's right.
Baylor, guys, 7.5 wins, plus 650 to win the conference. I'm sorry. You gotta play that. You got to play the plus 650. They are the best on the line of scrimmage within the Big 12. How is this so low? Why do they get no respect? They're like Wake Forest. Also, I feel like they're like Wake Forest in the when we were talking ACC. Why Wake never gets any respect? Baylor at 7.5. I'm sorry. I like the over and I like that decently as well.
this team won the Big 12 last year, and 7.5 is the most they're giving them.
I don't get it. I get it. They got to play what at BYU.
Yeah, but they should be 2-1 out of conference, no problem, because Albany and Texas State are the other 2 games.
That's true.
I mean, they could also beat BYU.
That's true. We beat them a year ago.
Right. Yeah. I think I favor BYU in Provo, but still, I mean, 2-1 out of conference, that can easily set you up to hit 8 games. I don't see a whole lot of disagreeing so far here, guys. Yeah. I'm definitely on the over with Baylor too. I know Patty is. He is a closet Baylor guy.
Yeah, pretty easy over on that one.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So far we've only differed on Texas Tech so far. Wow, we really need to break this.
This means we're going to be fucking terrible. That means we're going to be terrible on forecasting this conference. Oklahoma State, 8.5 wins. Spencer Sanders back. Mike Gundy back. However, Jim Knowles gone and a bunch of that defense gone. 8.5 is the win total. I think Oklahoma State was a little bit of fool's gold last year. I am on the under. I like it. I like the under on this one. This might be lock worthy for me.
When you say fool's gold, they were an inch away from going to the playoff.
They also were a bad call away from losing to Boise State. A few other games that I thought they got fortunate bounces.
8.5 for a team that was that close to going to the playoff.
I mean, Gundy does have a knack though for just being better than what you think. So that's the scary thought about definitely locking this up. I'm on the under.
You know what? I'm switching. I was on the under. I'm going over.
Going over. Patty C riding the mullet.
There we go. NC Nick, I just had to throw that out there for you.
I'm gonna do the opposite because originally I was thinking over. Now I do think they're 3-0 in the non-conference, but I think this Big 12 this year is going to be tough. And Oklahoma State's kind of like Iowa State. You know, when you have a low number like last year, I think their over/under was like 7.5 maybe. Yeah. This year I think 8.5 is probably that half is probably gonna what kills you. I think they're probably an 8-4 team. If you go through his track record there, I don't think you'll see many 9+ win seasons consecutively. So I'm going to switch to the under.
I got to note this. Oklahoma State traditionally starts incredibly slow. The last time Central Michigan went into Boone Pickens Stadium, they won. Watch out because they played Missouri State really close. They played Tulsa close the past couple of years. Central Michigan and even Arizona State could bite them. If they start out slow, and Spencer Sanders is known to throw sometimes like it's crazy. Some plays he looks really fucking good, and then some plays you're like, huh? What are you doing? I'm just saying those two. I wouldn't pencil them as for sure wins against Central Michigan and Arizona State yet. You heard it here first. Dundee,
Central Michigan decent, Arizona State decent, Oklahoma State getting them both at home big time.
That's huge.
But you're right. The slow start is a thing, and it's been Gundy the whole time.
Yeah,
with the slow starts.
It's very common with Oklahoma State. So.
Let me say this. We just did both of these teams. Oklahoma State at Baylor on October 1st. Maybe the most low-key compelling game like that we're not paying attention to right now.
And the problem with the Big 12 is that like only 500,000 people will watch that game.
Right.
And it's better than like fucking 90%
but that'll
of the
be,
college football games.
I think that game will be for a spot in the conference championship game.
Well, it was a conference championship last year that came down to like an inch. So
I think it will be for this year. Yeah.
All right, and that gets us to our Texas Longhorns, NC Nick's boys, hook 'em horns. You know, they're almost the odds-on favorite to win the Big 12, plus 280 to win the Big 12. Win totals at 8.5. Quinn Ewers, you riding the mullet? You riding the guy who took $2 million from Ohio State?
Patty C's boy, what you got there,
Patty?
Patty?
He is not my boy. I am not. I do not want to brand him as my dude because when I watched him in the spring game, he has arm talent, but if you watch that, he looks like dog crap most of the time. He looks shook. You know, I don't know if it was like the first time experience. He's still pretty young. But I'm not ready to crown this team at all.
All I know is that if either three of us was going to be Quinn Ewers, it'd be you.
Well,
and take that as a compliment.
No, he's boss for that.
Yeah.
I'll turn this shag I got into a mullet here pretty soon. Don't worry. Look, this team, they're expected to get 8.5 wins. They've done that.
And they have Bam on the schedule, so you know right there. Now they can only lose. They can't afford to lose 3 games after Bama.
They're not getting this. This is a lock. This is a super lock. They've only won more than 8 games in the regular season once since 2010. That's what, 12 years here?
Yeah.
So come on.
Yeah.
High expectations for no they got a number 1 vote.
Horns down.
Horns down.
And that gets us to Oklahoma plus 200, 9.5 the win total. We talk about the Gundy thing. Cale Gundy out as a offensive coach there. What do you guys make of Dylan Gabriel, Jeff Lebby, Brent Venables coming? Still the favorites. This shit has changed. I saw earlier, I think it was at another book, that Texas was the odds-on favorite. Oklahoma now the odds-on favorite. Give me the under. I think there's too much turnover. I get it. Jeff Lebby's offense should be super explosive. I think Ted Roof was an interesting hire at defensive coordinator. And I just don't think. I think when you have that much turnover, now granted, Oklahoma and Texas, I don't think they play back to back away. Oklahoma definitely doesn't. So there's that advantage, but I still just think there's too much missing. Give me the under on the Sooners. Patty C, talk to me.
Well, they get Baylor at home. They get Oklahoma State at home. They get Texas at a neutral site. They get K-State at home. Basically, all of these games that will probably be the biggest threat to them, they're getting at home. The game at Nebraska could be a factor and take them down. I think that just because they have that target that you're talking about, and there's so much uncertainty with the new coach, that they're going to drop 3. So I'm putting them on the under, but we'll see. I still expect them to be in the conference championship game. I expect them at 9-3 with a loss to Nebraska to be there.
Another thing is Dylan Gabriel was out for the year last year, so we'll see how he recovers from that. I think was that an ACL. I just think. Well, just looking at, I think they lose in Ames. You have the shootout. Who knows what happens in that game? I think they could lose at Nebraska. I think K-State could beat them. I think they're capable of beating them. I think Baylor. Aranda's got a great record against Lebby.
At Iowa State.
In Morgantown, always crazy. Last chance, Morgan. They get it to beat.
They've never
Oklahoma.
lost in Morgantown.
I know, but this is the last chance. This is the last chance. Same with Texas Tech. So those could be interesting because they know it's their last chance to see.
We just did this preview. I am not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I could easily see them getting to 10-2. But
that's my exact thoughts. Even though I'm on the over, and it took me a little while to come around to Oklahoma this offseason, but I still think they're the most talented team in the conference. And if Venables can be the head coach that a lot of people think he can be, then you have the most talented team with a good head coach. And I think that can go a long way with a pretty easy conference schedule, because like Patty mentioned, a lot of those road games at WVU, at Texas Tech, at TCU are very winnable. If they can get by Nebraska, I know that game was crazy in Norman last year. If they can win that game, they could start this season off on a very nice roll, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 potentially. So I certainly don't love going over here just because there are so many unknowns, but I do kind of have a feeling Oklahoma might be a little bit better than expected. Texas is getting all the attention. Oklahoma kind of quietly going underneath the radar.
I mean, I could totally see the over. I don't feel great about the under. I think if anything, this is the one that I feel least about out of all the teams here.
Yeah.
I feel this is the toughest play in the whole Big 12, in my opinion.
I mean, without obviously factoring the bowls here, they have failed to get to 10 wins 1, 2, 3, 4 times since 2000. So
yeah,
9.5. History says, you know what? On that note, I'm switching up.
There
Oklahoma on the over. Oklahoma.
Where's that tide turning?
There you go. I'm sorry. I'm pouring myself a cocktail over here.
You can't win.
How about that? And where the fuck is my tide? I don't know. All right.
I would say
it's easy to see a tide turn.
Yeah.
But in general, I like a lot of these over-unders in the Big 12. I think the Oklahoma one's tough. I think the Texas Tech is tough. But I think you'll find quite a few of these on our lock episode here in a couple of weeks.
I got 5 over, 5 under. That's what I like. Consistent plays. Guys, who's the most overrated team in the conference? Do we even have to answer this?
No.
I'm going to say Texas. Yeah, Texas most overrated team, but TCU, I think, getting more love than they deserve. Throw that in there as well. Team that's going to surprise. I got the Jayhawk. I could choose. I'm going to say the state of Kansas. How about that? Kansas, the Jayhawks are going to go bowling, and then Adrian Martinez. Watch out! Watch out!
How many wins do you got? Kansas State popping out.
I got K-State playing for the conference championship.
I think they can win 8.
Yeah, and I think if they can catch Oklahoma in Norman, watch out. That's a must-watch game for me this year. My conference championship. Well, who's your surprise team? I'm going Kansas as my number 1 surprise, but K-State would be second.
I don't know. I'm tempted to go K-State. Nick, who are you going?
I did go K-State. There's lots of good options here. I think throwing Baylor in there makes a ton of sense too, especially if you look at just 7.5 wins for their team total.
Yeah, I agree with you. I might have to lean. I'm going to switch it. I had Iowa State. I thought they were going to surprise. I thought they were going under the radar.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
That's right. But I think the game at Iowa, they're going to lose again. They're going to have the season that most of us probably expect. A little better, but I think Kansas State is the play.
K-State. There we go. State of Kansas. Watch out. Kansas football back. Guys, my conference championship. Let's get to it. Who do we have in the conference championship? I got Baylor against Kansas State. Baylor against Kansas State.
Oklahoma as a state, nowhere to be found.
Leave it up to Colby to hate on Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, Texas, what do you mean? They went 5-7 last year.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I got Oklahoma Baylor.
Look, I have this thing. It paid off for me last year. They put a tag on themselves by switching conferences, and they're going to get everyone's best punch. And for that, you're going to see while I am fading Texas, I'm fading Oklahoma, and I'm fading a couple other teams we're going to get to later on that are switching conferences. Patty C, give me your Big 12 championship.
If I'm not mistaken, it has been since 2010. Since no, why am I not seeing this correctly? It's been a while since a team from Oklahoma hasn't made the Big 12 championship game. So I think that trend continues. There might be two. I'm having a really hard time. It's going to be Oklahoma.
That would be fantastic to pick Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, because it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great.
It's going to be Oklahoma State or Baylor. I think, you know what?
Pick Bedlam just for the hell of it.
Well, you got Oklahoma, Baylor already. And so I think even though that game is in Baylor between Oklahoma State and Baylor, so that makes me want to choose Baylor, I will go with Bedlam just for the fun of it.
I like it.
Bedlam 2.0.
That would be fantastic. Give the fans what they want. Nick, what are you doing?
Oklahoma, Baylor.
Okay, so who wins? I got Baylor winning the Big 12 championship.
I'm going Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm going Boomer Sooner.
All right, there we go. Chalk plays over there. TMZ Pat
Baylor
his appearance.
2 years in a row for Baylor.
Hey, Jeff Lebby, 0-3 is it against Dave Aranda? Watch out! That offense it only works so far. Dave Aranda knows how to shut that thing down. All right, we're gonna get to the independents next, but before we do that, I gotta get us paid. I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there. I know I do. They just passed 4 million users, and now you could win on Sleeper by playing their brand new over/under game. First, in any sport, you choose 2 or more players you like, and you pick the over or under. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to over 20 times the amount of money you put in. And you better believe with NFL season right around the corner, Sleeper is the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. The main reason I love Sleeper also is that you can play with your buddies. You can start a little group with your buddies. If let's just say you're stuck watching a fucking Jacksonville Jaguars Tennessee Titans game or something on a Thursday night, you're just like, geez, there's no college football on, right? And you're just stuck there. Well, you might as well just call some friends of yours and say, hey, let's throw $20 on the line here and have some fun with this props. So I highly recommend it. And look, right now on your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Once again, that is sleeper.com/SGP, and you'll get a $100 match. All right, we are back, and I'm going to make this statement. This is I need to sound the alarm or something. There we go. The most entertaining thing in college football this year. It's not the ACC. It's not the Pac-12. It's not the Big 12. It's not if Michigan can take down Ohio State. It's not even the new Fun Belt, Sun Belt, which I love. It is the independents. I pledge allegiance to the independents because I'm fascinated by every single team we have here in the independents, man. All right. Army, if you're wondering who the independents are, Army, BYU, Liberty, New Mexico State, Notre Dame, UConn, and UMass. All right. Hear me out here. Hear me out, guys. Army, triple option football. You can never go wrong with that. That's entertaining each and every year. So that is simple. BYU, you're on the verge of joining the Big 12. Can you have a monster year? Kalani Sitake has been building this thing. Jaron Hall's back. I think they're incredibly entertaining to watch. I think they're kind of must-watch TV each and every week. Liberty, this program came out of nowhere. They're on the verge of joining the CUSA, which I actually think is a mistake. Personally, I think they should remain independent. It's not too late, or join the Sun Belt, one of the two. But Hugh Freeze has had this program going. Malik Willis is now in the NFL. Charlie Brewer, fucking Scott Bakula, and Necessary Roughness coming in. And I just think Liberty, can he maintain this? Can Liberty continue? Because they're another giant with money. That school has a ton of money.
All service academies and religious schools should be independent.
Yes. Then you got, to me, the bottom three: New Mexico State, UConn, and UMass. They've all been terrible lately, but I think all three had home run hires. So I think they're must-watch TV. And I've also, you're going to see in a second here when we play these teams. And then you have Marcus Freeman, who's recruiting better than Brian Kelly ever has, and he's only coached one game at the bowl game. I think the independents are absolutely fascinating this year. Talk to me about the independents, Patty C.
Well, I'm on board on every point you just touched on, including New Mexico State somehow, just because Jerry Kill is a pretty damn good coach. So every single plus Northeast football, you make UMass and UConn are fun to me.
Northeast football. NC Nick, you ready to talk Northeast football? And
No,
Army. This is the Northeastern Conference, by the way. Army, UConn, and UMass. Liberty's in Virginia. That counts.
Notre Dame kind of counts because they have such a big following in the Northeast.
Yeah, was that the?
There you go. And then it's like the SEC with New Mexico State. You know what I mean? They're in.
Let's branch out. BYU is who I want to talk about. Actually, BYU and Notre Dame, because I think both teams will probably end up as double-digit win teams. That's tipping my hand when if I think I want the over/under on those two. But I think as far as independence goes, those two teams, they could be very good and help maybe even an outside chance at a playoff or something.
There you go. Shout out to 3802 in the chat. He says, I wish BYU joined the Pac-12 for Utah, the Holy War, Utah and BYU every year. I completely agree.
Hell yeah.
However, the Pac-12 was on their high horse and they didn't want to touch a religious school. We couldn't have that. We can't have religion be a part. I think the world's missing out when we don't have that. The fact they're not playing this year, it sucks. So they gave us the backyard brawl. They take away the Holy War. What the fuck? Come on.
Can't have it all now, and not in these days.
But guys, I mean, you look at this thing, the win total, Army at 8. Let's go alphabetically here. Army's at 8. Jeff Monken's been building this thing, man. This program, if you're just looking at it blindly, you got to take the over. However, as much as I love Monken, as much as I love the triple option, I think the schedule is too hard. All right. I am taking the under on the Black Knights this year, but I'll be rooting for them to win each and every week.
I mean, 8 regular season wins, 4 of the last 5, 8+ regular season.
They didn't have a schedule like this, man. Yes, they have 2 FCSs, but one of them is Villanova, who's actually really good.
I find it hard to believe they're going to go 7-5. I think if you're telling me what's more likely, 7-5 or 9-3, I have to lean towards 9-3. I do think the schedule's harder than the last couple of years, so maybe you chalk up one more L. Maybe they finish with the push with 8-4, but I'm on the over with Army.
Well, recency bias is definitely playing a factor here for me, but my calculus changed a little bit after the news today that Sam Hartman's out. This was a shootout with Wake Forest last year, and he's a huge part of their offense. I don't know if maybe that gives Army the edge in that game, and that would put them on the over for me.
That's a very good point, because they lost that game to Wake Forest. They lost it. What was it?
So it's arena
70 to 56 or something.
70 to 56, but it was kind of back and forth for a while there. So yeah, if they can win that game, that would have been 10 wins last year.
It's true, but they also could start out 0-5. I'm telling you, Coastal Carolina, then UTSA, then Villanova. Watch out for Nova. Nova's good. And then they get a bye week and they have Georgia State and then at Wake. I mean, they whooped Georgia State's ass last year. This is in West Point this year. They should take care of that. But I also think the floor is higher. Like ULM, Patty C locked them up last year. There's boys. I think they're going to be better than they were last year.
ULM is not beating Army.
Dude, last year Army lost to Ball State. Your boys. All right. What makes
you
you think these will be games?
Yeah, Army can lose to pretty much anybody, but I don't know. I think you have to go with Monken's track record.
It's gonna be 7-5 or 8-4.
We'll see.
There we go.
We shall see.
Let's
All
have
right,
a
well,
look.
hold on. Let's flip that, Colby. What's the one definitive loss on the schedule?
Let me pull it back up. I will say the definitive loss is to
At Coastal, probably.
I don't
and
say that's
Wake.
a definitive loss.
I don't think it's
How's that a
definitive.
definitive loss without Sam Hartman?
I just think that offense will fly. It's like when they lost Newman and Hartman came in. I think Clausen will take care of business there, and I think UTSA will get them.
4 very good teams from last year on their schedule: at Coastal Carolina, UTSA, at Wake, and versus Air Force. Even if they lose all 4 of those, they have a 50-50 game against Navy. That say we give them the win on that. I think they should win the rest of their games.
Nice.
I think
They play one Power 5, and that's Wake Forest.
It's true, but Coastal Carolina, UTSA are rolling. I think Georgia State's going to be better this year. I think this is my point. I think these teams are all going to be better. UMass
They play tough non-Power 5. I agree, but I mean, it's not like this schedule is like
I can't
Cal's or
believe
Arizona State's, or I mean, it's not Stanford's schedule.
Yeah.
It's a cakewalk. And this guy of all people, Mr. Triple Option over here, hating on Army, unbelievable.
I just think it's a tough schedule. If they start out 0-5, you're going to be sitting there saying they still got that dude Tyrone
Villanova.
Robinson. That guy's a fucking beast.
They are not going to start out 0-5. That is blasphemy. Have we changed have we changed hats here? Who are you?
Don't sleep on the Wildcats, all right? In the name of Howie Long, Firestorm, great movie, all right?
The only thing that can be more hipster than liking the service academies is liking FCS, and that's why Colby thinks Villanova is going to beat Army.
Dude, Villanova, they have a win against Pitt in like the past couple of years. Watch out, man. I'm telling you, they are a good team. JMU left the CAA because they couldn't beat Nova.
Oh, this son of a gun.
All right. Your Sunbelt team lost to Nova last year, all right? Watch out for those Wildcats.
Hey, simmer down.
Next up, we got the BYU Cougars. 8.5 is the win total, folks. This is tough because they schedule pretty wildly. What are you guys doing here with the likes of BYU? Patty C?
Look, I think BYU is really good. The schedule is very hard, but Sataki has built this thing, and Jaron Hall, I think, is awesome. I think he is slept on. He's just not known, but he has straight wheels and he's durable. Like, it's a crazy combination how athletic and strong he is. If he can get his throwing to like the next level, then he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
I actually think this BYU schedule, I'm going to take the over because I actually think this schedule is a little bit lighter than the previous years.
Well, they went 10-2 last year, and they returned 88% of their production, which is second best in the country, only trailing Bowling Green. I think it's tough, though. I mean, when you look at, you have at Oregon, at Boise, and Notre Dame. I mean, that could be 3 losses right there. But no, I think they get it done and at least get to 9, if not double digits.
They're a dark horse playoff team to me.
Watch out for Utah Tech, November 19th.
Yeah, those bastards.
I'm joking.
Dixie State. Bring back Dixie State. No, watch out for East Carolina because that's a Friday night game. Watch out for my Pirates. They're going to be snoozing, thinking, hey, we got this big time matchup on the Smurf turf the next week. Revenge against Boise. Boise whooped them last year. Watch out.
Dude,
watch out for my Pirates.
I don't see how this is an easier schedule. I mean, they have
than last year. That's all I'm saying.
Baylor, the reigning Big 12 champ, or at Oregon, went to the Pac-12. They have Utah State, the reigning Mountain West champ, Notre Dame, Arkansas, at Boise. I mean,
Even at Liberty is fucking across the country.
Yeah.
It is a tough schedule. All those games though are winnable. If they have a magic season, you can't keep them out of the playoffs if they go undefeated.
They will.
If they go undefeated, I mean, whoa. I'm high on BYU this year, but you think they run the table here?
They're not going to win in Autzen. That's the loss.
Autzen is early on in Lanning's tenure.
Yeah.
It's hard to win at that fucking place, though, man.
It is, but they're good, man. BYU is good. I think Baylor and Oregon back-to-back weeks is tough.
By the way, that's a great game, and thankfully it's not on Pac-12 After Dark, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time at Oregon week 3.
Dude, they get out of week 3 undefeated. Look out. Look out.
I think that what's tough is also they have a lot of their tougher opponents back to back, not on the road, but just Baylor and Oregon, and then Notre Dame and Arkansas.
It's true.
And then ECU and Boise State, obviously. But give me the over. I'm buying into Sataki. All right,
I'm with you.
Liberty Flames 6.5 wins. This was fucking hard. I took over, but I don't feel good about this. This was the hardest one out of all the independents to me. I got no idea what the fuck Liberty's going to be like this year. I went over. I thought 7-5, but I could also see them being like 4-8. So, I mean, even that game at Southern Miss, when I did the Liberty preview, I said that was an automatic win. The more I think about that, I think that's going to be a 50-50 game. Watch out. I think Southern Miss is better. They brought in a shit ton of transfers, all from Mississippi and Mississippi State.
Please.
What?
Southern Miss did what last year?
They had a brand new coach, buddy.
They were 3-9 the year before that. Weren't they 1-11? 3-7 the year before that. So let me keep going back.
Liberty lost to ULM last year, Pat.
I agree. Watch out for Southern Miss. I'm not.
That place
I
will
don't
be
like
rocking.
Charlie Brewer.
Yeah.
I'm not a Charlie Brewer guy. You talk about a
Yeah.
drop off. Malik Willis to Charlie Brewer. That is like Jerkovic to Gosel or something. That BC
Groskell, I think it is.
whatever his
Groskell.
name is. Yeah, I mean, talk about a drop off. That is huge. I mean, Utah didn't start clicking last year until they got rid of Charlie Brewer's ass and brought in Cam Rising.
That's true. That's
Didn't
true.
Charlie Brewer lead Baylor into the Big 12 championship?
He did, and they collapsed because he's a lawn chair.
He was one play away from going to the playoff that year.
He's still he is a like
He's a average quarterback, but
I don't like the fact that he quit on Utah last year. Also,
they got outplayed.
that tells me
Southern
something.
Miss-
Tells me maybe he doesn't have the intestinal fortitude.
Maybe
Yeah.
it tells you that Cam Rising's a really good quarterback.
But
He
why
is.
do you quit though? He could have got Cam Rising could have got injured the next week, and you would have been starting again. Instead, he's like, "I'm leaving the team."
That's what Brewers do. They quit and they transfer. Southern Miss is a win. UAB, now there's a tougher game.
I'm telling you, Southern Miss is going to be that's a 50-50 game. Watch out. Southern Miss landed a shit ton of transfers from like Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
I think Liberty could realistically start off 0-3.
Yeah, but I also think they're probably more likely going to be 1-2,
Yeah, I agreed.
maybe 2-1.
Once again, we have
There's no way they win all three.
the
right?
same argument with Wake Forest that it's now an easier game.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have like if Moorhead doesn't have Akron competitive, that's a blowout. UMass, I do think Brown's going to have that team better. They get UConn and New Mexico State. They do have all these independents. See, they're in a conference. This is a conference, the Independence Conference. They get look. They play BYU, UConn, New Mexico State, and UMass. They're getting all
Four
of them.
independents?
Yeah, they're getting all of them for the most part.
They also have 2 road trips to Sunbelt teams, almost like they want an invitation to the almighty Sunbelt.
Oh, that'd be
Well,
great.
didn't they agree to go to the COSA? That was a stupid move.
Yeah.
But I think they would probably ditch that for the Sun Belt. I'm on the over though. Nick, you did the under there or what?
Yeah, I did. I kind of went back and forth. I agree that I did not feel good about this one because you could obviously see 7 wins, but it came back to me was I just think it's a huge drop off at the quarterback position. So I'm going under.
I'm on the over.
Man, I went over. I just think 7-5 probably where they land, but I could totally see. I think that's the hardest team to predict. New Mexico State over 3.
You
This
guys
is my
will rue
lock.
the day you hated on Brewer this hard. You will rue the day. You're going to be eating the crow at the end of the year.
New Mexico State. This is my lock. Over 3 wins. Lock this thing up. I think there's a chance they start out 2-2. I think there's a decent chance.
Sure. Yeah, there's a chance.
All right. And then they get Hawaii, FIU, and New Mexico all in a row. Come on. This thing, they're going to go bowling. Jerry Kill's taking New Mexico State bowling. They're going to beat Nevada. They could beat UTEP. They're going to beat Hawaii. They're going to beat FIU. They're going to beat New Mexico.
What do you think? Jerry Kill is Nick Saban here?
They got Lamar. They pulled the SEC move and had fucking FCS come in November. They're going to get Lamar on November 12th. Jerry Kill's fucking the greatest coach, man. He's going to get this done. Watch out.
Yeah, to be fair, they had the right schedule this year because I think at Missouri and at Wisconsin are probably the only for surefire losses. You could maybe argue at Minnesota.
Please get out of here. This is New Mexico State we're talking about. Minnesota.
Dude, Bowling
Wisconsin.
Green beat Minnesota in Minneapolis last year.
Yeah, and New Mexico State has beaten Minnesota in Minneapolis in the past decade, motherfucker.
But
all right.
All right. I agree that that's like a 90-10 game. Okay. So give me Minnesota there. So what if they're 0-3 and then every other game's kind of a toss up?
This thing is they're gonna go bowling.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying they're gonna win more than 3.
I'm saying New Mexico has beaten them like 90% of the time they've ever played them.
Ride the mustache.
San Jose State won the Mountain West a couple years ago.
Well, shit. I mean, a couple years ago, New Mexico State went bowling.
Okay.
You're gonna pull that angle. All right, talk to me.
Well, San Jose State is still a decent program. Nevada went 8-4 last year. You guys are assuming they're going to fall off the map. I think they get the over, yes, but I don't think they're going to be bowling here. I don't think this is like Lock City.
You can make a case that they could win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This team could go 7-5, and that's with me giving them losses at Liberty, home to San Jose State. And obviously the big 3 of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Missouri.
I think the fairer thing to say, and I like to do this with any team total that's an even number. You don't have the half. What's more likely, just 2 wins or 4? I mean, they're definitely going to have at least 3 wins.
Yes.
Lamar on the schedule, FIU
Hawaii
is terrible.
getting Hawaii and Nevada, that might be 2 of the worst teams in the country.
And getting Nevada week 1 is very beneficial. I'm on the over.
Lock it up. Lock it up.
I'm not going to lock it
up. Look, how many times has this team gone over? The number's 3.5.
3. Flat 3.
It's 3. How many times have they gone over 3 in the last 12 years? Twice.
Yeah, and Jerry Kill wasn't there, and he's way better than any coach that's been there in the past 12 years.
New coach, buddy.
All right.
They got some kinks to work out.
I can't wait for you to be wrong on this. You have your little Charlie Brewer fun when he loses to the Aggies in their sweet ass mustache.
But they are not winning 7 games next year.
What other podcasts out there giving this kind of love to New Mexico State? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. And next up, we got the Fighting Irish. 8.5 wins. Marcus Freeman, year 1. A lot of excitement. Tyler Buchner, Patty C. You've been saying he's the next Bill Buckner. All right.
Is that a compliment?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Get your glove in the dirt. I mean, come on, man.
That's right.
They taught me that when I was a 10-year-old.
That poor guy. Gosh.
He had to move out of Massachusetts. They were just egging the shit out of his house every day, calling him death threats to his family.
I guarantee you, whoever wrote that review, what was his name? Like Dragon Breath or something?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, actually, I got it right here. It's Kratom Breath.
Like, I guarantee you, he would not like how Bill Buckner was treated in Massachusetts.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not player friendly enough. Look, Notre Dame. What do you guys think?
I'm on the over because I think the schedule isn't amazing.
8.5 is the number.
Yeah,
I'm definitely on the over.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about this.
I feel very good about this.
No back-to-back away. Right?
They're still very talented, and I think they, with Buckner, I think that offense is going to be more versatile. It's going to be more dangerous. And I think the defense is still going to be there. I think the O-line is still going to be there. Losing Kyron Williams hurts, but I think they have Chris Tyree and a few others can step in there.
They're going to be favored in every game except the Ohio State game.
I think you guys are sleeping on how valuable Jack Cohn was last year.
I've never valued Jack Cohn. All right,
he's a better athlete than you're giving him credit.
Take your Charlie Brewer and Jack Cohn bullshit out of here. All right.
Look, I think the one problem is it's almost like Texas' schedule, where I'm chalking up at Ohio State as a loss.
Yeah.
So
that's what you should.
Hey, let's even give him. Let's say they lose to USC too. So 10-2, right there.
Then you still have.
They still have Clemson on the schedule, BYU, At UNC, I don't know. That's pretty much it, though. I mean, right. I mean, the schedule comes down to what? 4, 5, 6 games. Can they go 3-3 in those 6 games? I say yes. Give me the over.
I do too. Give me the over.
I think they go over. As a matter of fact, I think they're probably, in all likelihood, maybe 10-1 going into that USC game. I don't know. That Clemson game is kind of a 50-50. I assume they're going to be better than BYU. I think they get that done there. But the Clemson game at home is a huge one. If they can get that one, though, at USC for a potential playoff spot on the last game of the season, look out.
There you go. All right. Then when it gets us to Northeastern football, the UConn Huskies, 2.5 is the win total. Jim Mora Jr., friend of the program, been on the show before. Great guy. He likes what he's got with this program. He likes what he's doing here. Watch out. Because
guys, can I go pour myself a drink and kind of excuse myself from these next 2 teams here? I'll come back in 10 minutes.
Northeast football is back. Look what UConn did in the portal. They went out and got a Bama 4-star offensive lineman Dane Shore coming in the transfer portal. They got a couple guys from Texas, from Missouri. They got a 4-star from Memphis coming in. They got a quarterback from Penn State who was a 4-star. Taquan Roberson coming in. Watch out, Kentucky linebacker Marquez Bembley transferring in.
We already did the team preview, or
no,
or
we
it's
haven't.
Coming. It's coming. Okay, so don't steal your own thunder right there. For me, well, you guys start this since this is your thing.
I did go under because I feel like their schedule's tough, man. I want to say that the over could happen here, but. Because they got that regional game against Central Connecticut State, the Blue Devils, but maybe they could upset Syracuse at Rentschler, and maybe at FIU, and then the UMass game. I could see a path to the over. I just think, how fast can they get all this going? I'm on the under with the Huskies. Patty C.
Well, they went 1-11 last year. They were terrible. It's funny because there's like 9 guaranteed losses on the schedule. And then 3 games that they could win, which is Central Connecticut.
They're going to beat Central Connecticut,
FIU, and UMass. Maybe even Ball State.
That's what I'm saying. Some of those games, even Syracuse.
I don't think they're going to beat Syracuse. They were 1-11 and terrible, terrible last year, dude.
They brought in some talent, though.
I do like Mora too as a coach, but I just
you know what? I'm changing. Give me the over. Let's go Huskies! All dogs go to heaven. All right.
Look, even UMass smashed them last year, and so that would have to be one of your wins, right? That they lost by what, 2 touchdowns in that game last year. I'm on the under, and this is a team that I like. I'm a big Huskies fan, but I'm on the under.
No one walks into Rentschler and gets a dub.
That's true.
You know, I'm wondering if 3802 is Canadian, because don't they spell favorite that way, or is that just a typo?
What with the U?
Yeah. I'm
maybe
guessing
British.
Maybe it's our guy. What's our guy up in Canada? That
we got a lot of guys up in Canada, right? Let me tell you.
There's one main guy on SGPs all over the place. Good guy, especially in the college football chats.
Well, maybe we just have some sophisticated
I've
fans
drawn
that
a blank.
Use old English in their writing, and you know,
they like to write poetry when they're not watching college football. Here's my breakdown of these 2 bullshit Northeast teams. I think UConn beats UMass in stores, so I'm going over on UConn, under on UMass.
I actually like UMass.
Joel, yes, Joel Furman. Joel, that's who I was talking about. Is that him? He's Australian. Never mind. He's a fan of Pick Dundee.
There we go. Welcome to the land down under. All right. Come. There we go. Let's hang out.
Darn it! I was hoping that Colby just coined Northeast English as a
Northeast English,
a new spelling type.
Guys, Central Connecticut State is 1, right? Man, Fresno's got to go all the way across the country. They were lucky. It's October. They're lucky.
They kind of are. Actually.
Number 2 is gonna be Ball State. They're gonna beat Ball State.
Okay. Ball State did what last year?
Number 3 is Army. They upset the Black Knights.
Ball State, I feel like, was okay last year. 6-7. They went bowling versus a 1-11 UConn team.
You're giving too much honor to last year
In Muncie, Indiana.
Jim Mora Jr. is a legend. All right.
2-10, 2-10, an improvement.
All right, and then it gets us to Don Brown and UMass. Look, I think UMass is better than UConn. I think Brown walks into a better scenario from a talent point of view. I think he walked into a better team. Now that's before the transfer portal, and their schedule is way easier. Check this out. I think UMass is going to go 2-2 in September because I think they're going to beat Stony Brook, and I think they're going to win at the link against Temple. They're going to go 2-2 to start the season, and then after that, you got a home game against Buffalo, winnable. A home game against New Mexico State, winnable. The at UConn game, winnable. Even Arkansas State is winnable. This is an easier schedule. UMass is a better play than UConn. Give me Don Brown on the over. Let's go, Minutemen.
Is UMass even better than Stony Brook?
Yes.
Stony Brook was 5-6 last year. They beat Delaware, beat some good teams. You know, I feel like they're usually a decent program. I feel like with Don Brown, maybe UMass is a better team, but
UMass only lost by 17 to BC, only lost by 14 to Eastern Michigan, beat UConn by double digits. All right, only lost by 13 to Rhode Island.
They were a little better. Wait, Don Brown wasn't there last year though, was he?
No,
he's new now.
This is year one, buddy.
And he did pretty well there before. Maybe you're on to something. I'm on the under. They sucked last year.
Nick, what do you make of the Minutemen?
Sorry, guys. I was playing blackjack. I was pulling a Sean Green. Are we ready to talk real football yet?
You son of a...
Okay, let me just get an ad read and we'll get out of here and talk a little Pac-12. Talk about the Pac. Let's where are we at here? Folks, I want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by IP Vanish. Yes. Did you know that browsing online using incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? That's right. Without added security, you might as well be giving away all your private data to hackers, advertisers, your ISP, and other prying eyes. That's why here at SGPN Studios, we use IP Vanish VPN. It makes it truly easy to stay private and secure on the internet. IP Vanish helps you safely browse the internet by encrypting 100% of your data. That means your private details, your emails, your passwords, your communication, your browsing history, and more will be completely shielded from falling into the wrong hands. Even your physical location will be hidden. IP Vanish makes you virtually invisible online. It's really that simple. So go to ipvanish.com/SGP. That's ipvanish.com/SGP and use the promo code SGP and claim 70% off your savings. That's ipvanish.com/SGP. And guess what? We're going to hang on for a second here. Actually, no, we're not. Let's just keep rolling. I'll fix it in post. All right. Fix it in post, Patty C. Let's go.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yeah. The Pac. Let's get to the Pac-12. All right. This is they're not doing divisions. Top two teams. Arizona and Colorado are favored to be in the basement. The basement, 3 wins on the win total there. Does anyone love any of those plays? I kind of love the under 3 for Colorado.
I love the under on both. They both have impossibly hard schedules.
I went over on Arizona because of Jaden DeLaura. I think they will be able to upset some teams with that. I think the offense will be able to score.
So Colorado, my problem with that is that with Arizona, do we realize how bad they were last year? I mean, they were 1-11 with their only win against Cal when Cal had 7 starters out, including Garbers with COVID.
They had like 20 players. They didn't even have COVID. It was just Berkeley being fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Apparently, well, it was due to COVID regulations.
Yeah.
Someone sneezed.
Yeah.
Half the team.
Someone sneezed. Hey, you guys can't play this week. Look,
I have a hard time going over with either of those schools because
Hippie Olympics. Doesn't matter who wins because they're all losers.
I went over on Arizona just because I think the offense. Colorado, but this whole conference is interesting because of how many fucking transfer quarterbacks. JT Shrout, the Tennessee transfer, might be starting at Colorado. I heard he's been pretty solid in camp so far. DeLaura to Arizona. You got Jack Plummer from Purdue to Cal. Emory Jones to Arizona State. Washington gets Michael Penix. Oregon gets Nix. USC gets Caleb Williams. And then to me, the big one, Washington State. And I can't wait to talk more about the Cougs. But I don't feel great about Colorado or Arizona. I think if I had to say which one do I feel better about, I would say Colorado under 3. I did go over on Arizona, but I don't know.
You said the uncertainty of all those transfers.
No, I think that's what makes it very compelling.
Yeah.
If
I look at the Buffaloes, I mean, last year they had the worst offense in the Pac-12 and the second worst defense, and they got rated in the portal.
Yeah.
So how are they ready to make a big jump up? And like, would you put your hard-earned money behind that? Not me. I got to go under.
And then the non-conference, we're talking about Arizona here.
Colorado.
Colorado. Sorry. Colorado, same thing. Both have ridiculous non-conference schedules. Colorado, TCU, at Air Force, at Minnesota. That's where you're supposed to come up with some of your wins there.
It's insane scheduling. They're so stupid.
And we're going to touch base on this more when we get to some of the teams that are projected to do better in the Pac-12. The scheduling differences between some of the worst Pac-12 schools and some of the better ones is absolutely crazy. You guys know who I'm talking about. The fact that Arizona schedules like this and Colorado schedules like this and UCLA's schedule is an absolute, just a travesty.
Let's just say it right now. Arizona's non-conference slate: TCU at Air Force.
No.
Or Colorado's. Yeah, TCU at Air Force at Minnesota. Arizona's non-conference slate at San Diego State, Mississippi State, North Dakota State, and then we get to UCLA's non-conference slate, which is Bowling Green, Alabama State, and South Alabama.
Fucking ridiculous.
That is by far the worst Power 5 out of conference schedule. I don't have them lined up in front of me, but there's no. We're looking at every team across the country. There's
Michigan.
No Power
Michigan's
5.
worse. Michigan's worse.
To be
Is
fair,
it?
They play 9 conference games, so half the SEC actually has this exact setup.
Michigan's is home to Colorado State, home to Hawaii, and home to UConn.
Is that worse?
I think South Alabama is better than any of those, or maybe Colorado State and South Alabama.
Colorado State's better than South Alabama.
I think South Alabama's a bowl team this year, and then you have the Bowling Green and Alabama. Yeah, okay, but I'm saying if you throw those out, I do think Bowling Green is better than Hawaii.
Fair.
But UConn is better than Alabama State. I don't know. They're both right there.
Alabama State was 5-6 in the FCS last year.
They got Levante Chanel. Watch out.
Okay, South Alabama was 5-7 in Conference USA last year.
But South Alabama was going to be decent this year, I think.
And Bowling Green was 4-8 in the MAC last year.
Beat Minnesota at Minnesota.
UCLA, slap yourself in
that
the
is
fucking
horrible.
face.
That's fucking pathetic. Guys, Stanford's win total 4.5. Cal's 5.5. Do any of us like? I feel pretty confident about both of these. I like the under on Stanford. I like the over on Cal.
I'm with you on both.
Do you feel confident about it though?
I do on both.
Yeah.
I'm going over on both actually. I think Stanford. I think with Tanner McKee, and with how many people are returning, 10 on offense, 7 on defense, 88% total, third best in the country. I realize how bad they were in the second half of last year, but I think Stanford, come on, it's only 4.5. I think that's attainable. I think Stanford with the returning production, I think they're completely flying underneath the radar. They're not going to win like 7 or 8 games, but I think they have a chance to be a 5 or 6 win team. I'm going to go over on both those actually.
Wow, I like it. I'll say this. That's what makes this conference very entertaining this year. Is I got no fucking idea on some of these games when they play each other.
It's similar to the Big 12 where every game, there's a few exceptions, but most games either team could win.
I'm gonna push back on you on Stanford because
their schedule's tough.
Their schedule is tough. Their non-conference is what? Colgate. That's not that tough.
Yeah, but
then Notre Dame and BYU.
Brutal.
So that should be 1 and 2 in that stretch. And then when you consider last year, their wins were Vandy, a straight bullshit win against Oregon, and maybe that's what sticks in my craw.
They still played them tough though.
They did. Yeah. They played them pretty well, and then they beat USC, who was terrible though. Other than that, they tanked for the entire second half of the year.
They didn't tank. They played 12 Power 5s. That's what happens when
they
they
had a ton of injuries too. Like their top 3 or 4 receivers were out.
That was the hardest schedule in the nation last year.
Yeah. So they had a rough go of it, but I don't know. I understand looking at last year and looking at the schedule this year, I think it would be easy to say under, but I think Stanford's kind of one of those teams where they're going to surprise you when no one's expecting it. And it's not like the number sitting at 6 or something. It's 4.5.
Yeah.
They
actually play USC extremely good.
And
they've played.
And even though I'm going over, I certainly don't feel confident. I'm not going to bet this personally.
Do you feel confident on Cal over 5.5?
I feel better with Cal over there. Even though, in his 5 years, Justin Wilcox has only reached over that twice. Now actually, one of those years was COVID, so throw that out.
Yeah.
I like the Jack Plummer transfer from Purdue. I think he'll fit in nicely with Cal. And I think that Cal's really good at home.
Yeah, and you know who to watch, folks? I hate to bring it to you, but this is, to me, Washington State is the true team that I think could be dangerous in this conference. Getting, the head coach of Incarnate Word, who was 10-3 last year. His name is Eric Morris. Eric Morris, Mike Leach guy, was a coach at Wazoo back in 2012. He was running some great offense at Incarnate Word. He brings in Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward turned down a Virginia Tech scholarship, turned down some other to go to Wazoo. Cameron Ward, if you pull up the stats from last year, this guy threw 47 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. You pull up the game in the FCS playoffs against Sam Houston State, who they almost knocked off. He threw 36 of 61, 481 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. I think this guy is going to be a gigantic sleeper. Everyone's talking Caleb Williams. I think Delora to Arizona. I think Plummer to Cal, and I think Cameron Ward to Washington State. Watch out. Everyone's talking Nix to Oregon or Williams to USC. I think these other ones are fucking huge.
I'm not gonna lie. Incarnate Word's quarterback off my radar a little bit.
Dude, I'm telling you, I watched him play. This guy can fucking play. He's
and
nasty.
During our last preview, what was it? Was it the Troy preview or no? It was a Texas State preview. They jumped up and bit Texas State last year, one straight up, and he had a huge game. I think he threw for like 4 touchdowns and like 300 yards that game.
And the fact that his offense, he's running the same offense there with the same coach at Wazoo. I'm telling you. And if you look last year, everyone thinks Wazoo terrible defensive teams. Yes, they had some bad defensive teams under Leach a couple years. But Dickert actually had that defense really good last year.
Schedule's tough
offense,
though.
Yeah,
Schedule's tough.
I just think they're going to be better than what we're projecting. I'm on the over, and I feel pretty good about the over in Washington State.
I didn't know.
Go ahead, Patty.
I was going to say 10-3, with their only loss being in the playoffs. Sorry, I guess their season ended with a loss to defending champ Sam Houston State.
That's what I was talking about. And you look at the stats from that game. Like I said, man, he lit them up, man. 400 and some yards, 460 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks.
All right.
Watch out for this kid, man. I'm telling you.
We'll see. It's too big of a question mark for me to have a lot of confidence in him.
Would you go over or under?
I went under.
I went under too, and this one was very questionable. I didn't know what to do here. I think the schedule is kind of tough. I think you chalk up at Wisconsin as a loss. So I think it's crucial that you beat Colorado State at home. I think they probably can. Yeah, so they could start off maybe 3-2, but then they get 2 back-to-back tough road trips at USC, at Oregon State, followed by Utah at home. I think it's going to be tough to get to 6. I think they're either a 5 or 6 win team. I leaned on the under just because there's question marks. Maybe Colby has a better feel than us, though.
I really like what they did in the offseason. I think they're going to be better than what we're thinking. The schedule's the only thing that stopped me from really.
So who are they going to jump up and beat? Is it going to be Washington at home? Is it going to be?
Yes, they beat them last year at home. I think that's in Pullman. I think that is a winnable game. I'm not going to go ahead and say for sure that they're going to win that game because I like.
So
Penix.
give me their 6 wins. Idaho, Colorado State. Do they? Are you looking at? Do you have the schedule up?
I'm pulling it up right now. But yes, Idaho and Colorado State, I think are wins. I think
they win
lose.
one of the 2 against Oregon and Cal.
I like the chance of them beating. Yeah, I do. I think they win one of those.
Both are at home. Okay, so that's 3. I have them losing both those back-to-backs.
I do. I got them losing to USC and Oregon State, but I think they get a bye week before Utah. Watch out.
They're probably 1-3 in that stretch, not 2-2.
I have them losing to Utah also, so we still only have 3 wins. Do they beat Stanford at Stanford?
Yes.
They could, of course.
I think they could win Stanford. They could win Arizona State. They can win Arizona. They could win in the final 4 games of the season.
Could is a different than.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to go bowling. I think they're going to win more of these, and I wouldn't be surprised if they upset Oregon or Cal.
Yeah.
This is where I am TMZ Pat, because Washington State will forever be a kind of only Mike Leach brought them out of the.
Mike Price in the 90s.
They were a good team. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like they should have been more on my radar before. maybe it was because they were on the West Coast and I was on the East Coast, but they're forever just a whatever team. So I'm never paying that close attention except for when Leach was there. So I kind of want to defer to you here, but I still just have to trust my gut. I'm going to go under, but I wouldn't touch it. Don't take my advice on it.
Let's get to the next one. Arizona State 6. This was tough because everyone transferred out, but they're fucking talented. They're always talented. Emory Jones transfers in. Tempe's a really hard place to win. I got no idea. This was, I think, the hardest one to forecast because they led so much fucking turnover. I'm sitting there like, man, okay, they're going to beat Northern Arizona, I think, but Northern Arizona beat Arizona a season ago. They're decent in the FCS. I think they're going to beat Eastern Michigan, but maybe. So that's 2 wins there. Utah actually has a terrible track record of winning in fucking Tempe. That becomes winnable. I think Washington's winnable in Tempe. I think they could win at Stanford. I think they could win at Colorado. This is they could win against Oregon State and Arizona. I mean, honestly, the only flat out loss I see is at USC.
I don't even think that's a flat out loss. They beat them last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat both LA schools pretty convincingly too. They beat both UCLA and USC by a combined score of 73-39.
Jeez.
Owning LA.
It's just
they do only return 3 on offense and 4 on defense. But they do have Emory Jones and validate the running back from Wyoming coming in. I love this play last year under 8.5, but they always got it. They went 8-4.
Well, and there's that whole thing of like the team rejoiced. They had a party when Jaden Daniels left for Arizona State, and sometimes that, like, even if you're not as talented, if the locker room's right, you could be better than you were.
Galvanizes you.
Yeah.
So I'll say, like, in general, like, I liked a lot of the Pac-12 the Big 12 over-unders. I don't like a lot of Pac-12 ones. It is a toss-up year. I leaned under.
I went over, but I don't have a great feel. I might
switch it though.
I don't have a great feel, but
Arizona State's last 4 years against USC, 2018, 38-35 win. 2019,
that's the onside kick game.
31-26.
And the deflected pass, 4th down and 20 or whatever.
2021 was a 28-27 game.
I think
ridiculous. That's the one you're talking about.
Ridiculous.
So they lost by
27-14 with 3 minutes left, and they lose.
All the games against USC have been relatively close, except they gave it to them last year. I'm going to assume they lose that, but I think their track record is better than 6 wins. I think it's more likely they get to 7 than 5.
Ah, man, they're a hard team to understand this season because of how many transfers left. All right, Oregon State over 6.5. This is actually one of my favorite plays. I think this team is really good, and I love their chances at playing in the Pac-12 championship because I like the way their schedule aligns. They catch USC the first month in Corvallis. I think that's where you want to catch USC because I think towards the end of the year, they're going to figure it out more and more. I got them losing at Utah, but I think they can upset USC in Corvallis. And then at Stanford, winnable. Home to Washington State should be a win. Home to Colorado should be a win. They get a bye week before their tough game at Washington. Then home to Cal should be a win. I think at Arizona State, if they're going to win, against if Arizona State, I think is the team that many are projecting with everyone leaving. That's vulnerable. Herm Edwards could be fired by then. And then home to Oregon for the Civil War. I think they could. I think they can. That's a path where they could only have 1 loss within Pac-12 play.
That's a big stretch. We've said this before. They were 5-1 at home last year, and they were 0-6 on the road. Was that what it was?
Yes, and I still think they're going to be.
Well, no, they went 7-5 last year, so they were. I forget. Bottom line is they were very good at home and they were awful on the road. All right.
Yeah, but look, I mean, at Stanford is not a tough road game. At Washington, they get the bye week before, and then at Arizona State, like I said, if Herm Edwards, if he's fired and the team quits, that could be a win. And then at home, I like the fact they get where they catch USC. I think they're going to be favored against Washington State and against Colorado, and I think Cal and the Oregon game. I feel like those, whenever they're in Corvallis, I think they give Oregon a much harder time. So I think they can beat Oregon on Friday, November 25th.
Yeah, They certainly can, and I agree. I am high on the Beavers this year. I just think that the schedule's tough. So what's their out of conference record?
Well,
Boise at home, at Fresno, home to Montana State.
Yeah, that schedule's insane. That schedule's insane. I do think it's going to be 2-1.
It better be 2-1, because if not, then I think it's getting tricky.
No,
I'm going to go over here, but like every play so far in the Pac-12, I don't love it.
I think they have I think they can go within the Pac-12 with 1 or 2 losses. I actually tend to believe that's what's going to happen.
Do you think
at Utah is the one loss right there? They ain't going into Utah.
And I think at Washington
they
is
beat
winnable.
Utah last year. They beat Utah last year and they lost to Colorado last year.
Not at Utah.
Rice Eccles, they're going to lose.
Yeah, they're probably going to lose that. My question is this: do you think the 3 impossible games in the non-conference slate to start the season will prepare them for the conference slate, or will it just bang them up and make it harder for them?
That schedule's insane.
I'd say neither. I just think they're more likely to drop a game or 2. I don't think it prepares them. I don't think it.
Well, I'm just talking about as far as like in the Pac-12 race, let alone the over/under here. I know we're trying to get to the over/under. 6.5 is the number, but if they're, I think it's just going to bang them up for the rest of the conference play, and they're going to have a tough season ahead of them. I think 6.5 still may be possible. I'm riding the under very slightly,
but I actually think the way that their conference schedule aligns is great. If you're an Oregon State fan, yes, the out of conference is stupid, but if your conference slate is like that, I think it's great.
After USC and Utah, after the first 5 games of the season, I agree with you. I think they could win the rest.
I think they're going to beat USC at Reser Stadium. I really think so. I think it's better to catch them there than any other time.
Oh yeah, it's at home and it's early.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a very dangerous game. I think they could.
Yeah, and I think they lose at Rice Eccles, and that sets them up great after that. All right. What else do we got here? Washington 7.5 wins. Michael Penix, Kalen DeBauer. I love the hire. I went under on 7.5 wins, and Washington. Patty C, what'd you do here?
I went over, and I'm not usually a Washington guy.
Dude, they could start out. They really could start out like 6-1 or 7-0.
So if I'm not mistaken, DeBauer coached Penix at Indiana.
He did, yes.
So you have to. So it's not just some random transfer coming across the country that needs to get his feet wet. He's going to know the system, which I think is huge. I'm on the overall, so I'm a Kalen DeBauer guy. I mean, like, I know Sioux Falls is not on the college football radar, but he absolutely crushed it there. In the COVID year, he went 3-3. Last year at Fresno, they went 9-3. They beat UCLA. They almost beat Oregon. I think Washington steps into a nice situation here. And I think this offense, I mean, the problem has been offense, and that's what DeBauer brings. I like Washington here. I know it's a tough schedule. I think they can get to 9.
They could. This is a fucking hard conference because they're kind of like Arizona State to me, where I'm like, I that schedule is nice. That's a nice schedule. They do not play USC.
I think they beat Michigan State week 3. I think that's a big game. If they lose that, I'm not saying it's not a sure thing or anything. I'm just saying I think Washington surprises Sparty at home and beats them. So I think they start off 4-0.
I got them 4-0 in the month of September.
That would be a hell of an upset. 4-8 Washington, 11-2 Michigan State last year.
Yeah, you're taking too much into last year, buddy.
I'm just saying, you guys are just making a huge assumption that Washington's going to be magically better here.
And then let's say Washington splits the back-to-back road trips at UCLA, at Arizona State, and then they at home they beat Arizona. You're sitting at what, 5-1, 6-1?
Yeah, and at Cal's even winnable.
And then you got Oregon State at home, Colorado at home.
Just the biggest optimists ever. I'm on the over, but 9 wins for a 4-win team last year. What's their quarterback situation?
Michael Penix. Yeah.
I mean, this guy isn't Joe Namath over here.
If you watched him in the 2020 season, he looked pretty damn good.
Apparently, Indiana was national champions that year.
And even look at last year, Patty C. I don't think this was a 4-win team. I know Phil Steele we had on the show. He called him for the playoffs last year. They lost 1, 2, 3, 4,
they were better than
5, 6 games by 10 points or less. They're not that far away from being, especially if you can get a little bit of offense. The defense has been solid. They had a bunch of players drafted too. So
I'm on the over. Yeah. You're on the under.
I am. I think they're going to go 7-5. But this is This is a hard read. It's a hard read. This and Arizona State, I think, are the harder two reads.
Look, we've been talking a lot of football. I want to keep our degenerate fans engaged. So I'm going to do a shotgun. I'm going to shotgun this beer on air while you guys are watching, hopefully on YouTube. Give you a little incentive to join the party.
There you go. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter, Patty C831, as he shotguns this beer. Try to do this correctly.
Oh,
I know it's probably been a while.
You have a lot of electronic equipment around you.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
already spilling this shit all over the fucking place. All right. This is for Washington State's over. I got to make this a little bigger.
Washington's over. Buddy.
Washington's over. Sorry.
Yeah. You took the under on Washington State.
Oh, yeah, that's true. For Washington's over. We love you.
Go Huskies, right? NC Nick. UCLA, Oregon.
Woo.
8.5 is the win total.
Woo.
With UCLA's schedule. Now, look, I have a philosophy. I touched on this before. USC, Oklahoma, Texas, UCLA, they put targets on their back. I think all four are going to hit the under. But UCLA's schedule is very cream puff out of conference. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's been in college 75 years. I think if I was going to be wrong on one of them, it would actually be, I don't know, it's either Oklahoma or UCLA, but I think if I'm wrong on one of them, it'd be UCLA.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at UCLA, they returned 6 starters on offense, only 2 starters on defense. Last year was supposed to be their year. I was extremely high on the Bruins last year.
Well, they hit for us.
They went 8-4.
Yeah.
They hit, but I thought they could flirt with a double digit. You know, I thought they could really make some noise. So yeah, I think the over under was 7.5 last year, right?
Yeah, I think 7 might have been flat 7.
Okay, so they hit, but you know, they lose 3 starters on the offensive line and the offensive line coach. But for me, the schedule is just too easy. So I went over. I went into it feeling I was going to take the under, and when I dove into the schedule, I was like, man, there's not a whole lot of meat on this bone here. Give me the over,
dude.
I do think they're probably going to start out 5-1.
This is the year. This is the year for UCLA. We thought it was last year. Obviously, losing all those players hurts, but DTR's back. Zach Charbonnet is back. The schedule really, beyond being easy, sets up well.
Here's their losses, though, buddy. Utah has kind of owned them, whether it's in Rose Bowl or you know.
But getting them at home helps.
But Utah still smokes them.
Probably lose that.
So Utah at Oregon,
coming off a bye though.
Yeah, it's in Autzen though. That fucking place
Oregon
is hard
also
to win.
Coming
man.
off a bye, they both might be losses. You're right.
At Arizona State and at Cal. Cal's gonna fuck their season up. Cal, because of what they're doing to Cal, watch. Wilcox is gonna fuck up their season.
That would be a great
year.
FU at the end of the season. That said, this is when I did this.
They're
going to
be favored in what every game except Utah and Oregon. They might be favored against USC.
All right, let's play devil's advocate here. Bowling Green win, Alabama State win, South Alabama win, at Colorado win, Washington at home win. Will they be hosting College Game Day against Utah that week? Probably, right? If they get that win, right, at the Rose Bowl, we should be at that game. Bye week and then going into Autzen. Even if they lose that game, every other game on the schedule is winnable. UCLA, magic, baby.
I mean, it is winnable. You're right. I mean, like, where's the flat out loss? To me, the flat out loss is Utah and Oregon.
You're probably right. Those would be the two.
I don't know. I'm still taking the under.
And if we're transitioning to Oregon and those flat out losses, because I think this one's kind of tricky too. Like, I don't trust Dan Lanning. I don't necessarily trust Bo Nix. I think the Oregon offensive line is still very good, but I do think they lose to Georgia week 1.
Sure.
And then
I agree.
This is a year where they face at Washington State and at Oregon State. Two
Tricky.
sneaky. They're gonna lose at least one of those. So if that's 2 losses, I mean, they have to beat BYU at home. The rest of the schedule is not that daunting. UCLA at home, Washington at home, Utah at home. Maybe it is kind of daunting. I'm on the under barely. I think they probably go 8-4.
I think they're going to go 8-4 at Cal. Cal's been fucking them up in Berkeley lately.
Yeah.
I want to look at this for a second. Bear with me. I'm going back because I guess they play at Oregon State and at Washington State every time they do that. So 2 years ago they went 1-1. 4 years ago they went 1-1. Let me get to 2016 real quick. 6 years ago, they went. Sorry for the delay. We're talking at Oregon State and at Washington State. They went 0-2.
Yeah.
So their last 6 games when they've been on the road in those environments, what?
Perfect.
2 and 4.
I love when I say something without any stats and it's backed up. Actually, because I had the feeling that those are just 2 tough places to play, and I feel like any team's going to drop at least one of them. So nice that the stats actually back it up.
There you go. You want me to go back one more? Let's see.
I actually think, do that. But I'm saying like this. I'm on the under on the top. So the top 4 projected teams are USC, Utah, Oregon, and UCLA. I'm taking the under on all 4. Even the 5th team, Washington. So I think the floor or the middle is way better than what Vegas is giving them. I'm on the under on USC, Utah, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington, guys.
Hold on one sec, Patty. See, 8 years ago, you got that or no?
2016 and 2014, they both went 2-0 in those.
But don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
They were 12-0 and 13-2 in those years. So elite Oregon gets that done. Not elite Oregon's usually going to drive at least one of those games.
True. So going back to what Colby said there, USC definitely on the under.
That's at 9.5. They're the odds-on favorite to win the Pac-12. What the fuck am I missing here? How what?
I mean, dream teams don't work. Football is not like that. It's not. You can't just cobble a team together of prize transfers. It doesn't work like that.
Exhibit A: the Dallas Cowboys the past decade, or when Dan Snyder first took over the Redskins,
or the Eagles when they tried to their dream team with Mike Vick, and that blew up. So let's look at let's pull up the USC schedule real quick. I think there's some landmines.
I don't think so.
I got them losing at Oregon State first month, and I actually think Stanford and Fresno State, if that defense isn't fixed, like that defense was terrible, and Fresno State can fire that fucking laser, man. So I mean, look, I got them 3-1 in September, but after that, I think an automatic loss is in Rice Eccles. Yes. They're not winning at Utah. Then you ask yourself, well, the Notre Dame game, the UCLA game, I even think the Cal game is sneaky.
You're right.
I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose.
They could lose a bunch.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's not good to have more dogs than bones, and they might not have enough bones to satisfy all those receivers and running backs that they brought in here. Okay. So I love zigging when other people are zagging. People are high on USC. I say go under here. I kind of like that play. I don't know if I'm going to bet it personally because obviously talent wise they're towards the top of the conference. But yeah, I think there's some tricky road trips at Oregon State, at Utah, at UCLA, home to Notre Dame. Even at Stanford could mess with them.
Stanford fucks with them every year. I mean, that goes back to like the last 3 head coaches. So it's not just hey, even fucking Pete Carroll when they were 42-point favorites was losing to Jim Harbaugh. Stanford fucks with them.
So hold on, what is 3802 saying? He's saying, are you ignoring the Rams with that theory? Los Angeles Rams?
Oh, because they got Odell Beckham and
what was getting Matt Stafford a dream team?
That was definitely some dream team. That is a point he's making right there. Although I would say the NFL,
there's a lot of examples in the NFL of it not working though. The Cowboys, Redskins, like I said, the Eagles. There's fucking you could say the Brady 2006 Patriots team when they had Randy Moss.
That worked out pretty damn well for them.
They didn't win though. They didn't win the championship. Is my point.
Okay, but they were the best.
So
teams
what?
Ever,
What? And I guess and they brought in some guys on defense like Von Miller and stuff. So was last year Rams dream teamish? I guess you could argue that.
Yeah, but I can tell you this. Lincoln Riley, even when he was at Oklahoma, he lost regular season games, in my opinion. And look, he goes back to ECU. I think he's a great offensive mind, but I do think they play a style of ball that's very susceptible, and that's why they got caught. Look at the Oklahoma teams that made the playoffs. They always had regular season losses. They're going to get caught. And I made this case before on our show. I think the Pac-12 doesn't get enough love. I think when you play in these other terrains, it's not going to be fun, Lincoln Riley, when you're trying to throw the ball 60 times a game when you're in fucking a monsoon in Corvallis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or the snow in Boulder or Salt Lake City.
And also the dream team theory's never been tested on the college level. I think we're talking about professionals and 19 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
I agree, and I also think the NFL cheated for the Rams. But whatever. I think the NFL has become the NBA at this point.
If you're throwing millions in dollars around to 19 and 20-year-olds, they're not professionals. And I think these veteran NFL players who are dying to be on a winning team, I think they can come together, maybe sacrifice the individual stuff for the better of the team. In college, maybe not so much. Hey, it'll be an interesting test.
Just know Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley needed a pitch to beat Kansas. All right, like a fucking ripped off handoff. I just think there's too many potholes.
Well, here's the other thing too. It's like at a glamour program like USC with talent all over the place, especially skill position talent, offense is going to happen no matter what. The coaches that usually succeed at the highest level focus on defense, knowing that the offense is going to happen no matter what. Lincoln Riley's just another offensive coach running USC. He's Lane Kiffin,
he's another offensive coach.
He's better Lane Kiffin, or he's Lane Kiffin now. But is that enough to get him over like the hump? I don't think so. I think the loss happens, whether it be at a hornet's nest or playing a team like Utah.
The terrain. I always thought that's so underrated about the Pac-12 is the terrain you play in from week to week.
Yeah,
and
you're gonna get caught.
Yeah,
that offense ain't gonna work in all environments.
I want to talk about the Utes, but before I do that, I want to talk Sling. Yes, it is Sling time. It's college football season, which means you need Sling TV, where you can watch unbeatable college football coverage starting at $35 a month. Yeah, Sling has all the biggest games on the biggest channels like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, SEC Network, ACC Network, Fox, and the Big Ten Network, all for the best price. You can stream on any device, record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. You can pause or change your service at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love for a price you'll love. Try us today. All right, let's end this thing with the Utes, guys, because they won the Pac-12 a season ago. I rode the under because they're not normally a team with even though I guess they could feel disrespected that USC is the favorite and they could be just nasty. They did lose Britton Covey. They did lose Devin Lloyd. I just think traditionally when they're a target, which I know that obviously Vegas is saying USC is the true target. I just think they're due to take a tiny step back. I still think they're going to be good. I still think they could win at the Swamp in week 1, but I still think at Arizona State they've had a terrible time in Tempe since they've joined the Pac-12. At UCLA, I mean they've actually owned UCLA wherever they play the fucking game. But we think UCLA will be better this year. At Autzen, huge. At Pullman, sneaky. I went under on the 9 wins there. I just think the potential of them losing in the Swamp, which like I said, I've still taken Utah to win that game, but I still think it's a kind of a 50-50 game. If they lose in the Swamp, then I think you've pretty much cashed this thing because I do think they're going to lose at Oregon, and I think they will trip up one other time.
You said UCLA or Utah?
Utah, we're talking.
You think they're going to lose at Oregon?
Yes, I think at Oregon, man, at Autzen's fucking hard to win.
They smashed them pretty bad twice last year
in Vegas and Rice-Eccles.
Autzen makes a difference, but what was it? 38-10 and 38-7.
Yeah, but Mario Cristobal is gone. No X's and O's. They got Dan Lanning who knows some X's and O's.
The Cristobal hater comes out.
Do we know that, or did he just have like 10 guys drafted?
That's true, but I still think I would take my chances that he knows X's and O's and in-game coaching better than Cristobal.
By default, like I don't know this guy, but it can't be worse than Cristobal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Cristobal is on the same level as Narduzzi to me, where it's like if they're making the shots, I go.
All right, so here's my thought process with Utah. I think they're probably they went 9-3 last year. 2 of those losses was with Charlie Brewer starting at quarterback.
But Cam Rising came in that San Diego State game
and led them back almost to victory, tied it, and they lost in overtime.
Yeah.
So I think, look, they were 9-1 with Cam Rising, and they just barely lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I think that makes a difference. At the end of the day, I think they're probably a 9-3 team again, but I went over because I could see them winning 10 more so than just 8.
I think their road schedule is harder this year, with the exception of Colorado. Every team they play on the road has a winning record last year. Well, I guess Florida was 6-7, but I think that's a tough trip because you're cross country.
They lost 3 road games last year. Now 2 of those was with Brewer, at BYU, at San Diego State, and then they lost at Oregon State. So
Yes.
You're right. I mean, they beat USC on the road. They beat Stanford
and at San Diego State was a neutral site game because that shit was played in Long Beach. But I just think this road schedule is tough. At Oregon, at Washington State.
You're starting to convince me, dude.
At UCLA, at Arizona State. First off, they have 6 road games, right?
Well, at Florida, I mean, if you're going to even flirt with an over, you better beat Florida. And I don't care what Florida's going on right now. You still have to go in the swamp across country.
You know how hot that's going to be on September 3rd?
Yeah,
it's going to be like fucking 110 degrees.
And you better not. You can't chalk that up as a that's a surefire win. Hell no.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of reasons to go with an under, but I leaned over for whatever reason, just because I think there's a slight chance this Utah team could be really good. 8 starters return on offense, 6 on defense. They were the number 1 D in the Pac-12 last year. I think they can still get.
Whittingham's incredible. I do think they're probably going to go 9-3.
Yeah.
I just think if I had to lean, I think 8-4 is more likely than 10-2. Heard it here first.
I want to look something up. I want to look up the kick return average because I think losing Britton Covey is massive to them. He was a humongous
Devin
playmaker.
Lloyd too. I mean, Devin Lloyd was incredible. Yeah.
And the other thing is Kyle Whittingham has not ever been a consistent, like dominant winner from year to year. He usually takes a step back every single time he has a good season. Now, recently he's had some pretty good seasons, 9-5, 11-3, throw away the COVID year and then 10-4. The COVID year was 3-2. But either way, he does seem to have taken a little bit of a step into that consistently elite thing.
Dude, he's one of the best coaches.
He's a great coach. And then you combine that defense with, some elite playmakers on offense like Cam Rising. If they can replace Covey, and you said they got another electric kick returner back there, then so now you're convincing me to go back to Utah. And you know what? The tiebreaker for me, and should we just dive into our conference championships?
Change, and you can change. Everybody can change.
I'm on the under though.
I'm on the under too. I had the under.
I'm sticking to my guns. The top of the Pac-12. There's going to be too much carnage. This conference, there's too much good quarterback play too, and these road trips are tough. I think the top 5 teams projected by Vegas will all hit the under. Let's go. Anything else you want to say about the Pac, NC Nick?
No, I mean, I can see lots of reasons why the Utah might go under, but I just have a feeling with them they might go over. Now, if you're looking at odds as far as who might win the Pac-12, there's no way in hell I'm picking plus 220 USC. Even the Utah plus 240, I don't think it's enough there. So maybe you look at UCLA.
Boom.
At plus
there
900.
It is.
Plus 900 is pretty fucking juicy. Who's the most overrated team, guys? Is it just flat out just like Texas? We're going USC.
Yeah. Easy.
Team that will surprise.
But also Washington at plus 1400.
That schedule's nice. I do like the Washington plus 1400 because I think the schedule is not that tough.
If they can squeak their way.
That is my team that will surprise. It is the Huskies.
And you have them going to, should I give it away?
Give for it. Yeah. Conference championship, Utah versus Washington.
I got Utah. My surprise team is Oregon State, and I think they're going to play for the Pac-12 championship against Utah.
And my surprise team is UCLA, and I think they're going to play in the Pac-12 championship.
So we
against
all
Utah.
have Utah.
Utah's going.
Yeah.
And then we all have a surprise team.
None of us have USC. None of us have Oregon. That's pretty shocking. It's pretty fucking shocking.
Well,
right
it comes down to like USC or Oregon, UCLA, and that game is at Oregon this year. So I probably should lean Oregon, but I just think Oregon's going to get caught first year, a little uncertainty.
And since 3802ers, I think the only one that stayed with us for 2+ hours. He has Oregon. Who do you have Oregon playing, man? What's your Pac-12 championship, and who's your winner?
Yeah, let us know. Hop in that chat. Let us know about who you got. The Pac-12 should be a fucking fun conference, man. I'm telling you, all those quarterback transfers I got, and that's another point. Is like, couldn't you make the point that this year with the conference realignment, with super seniors, with the transfer portal as big as it's ever been, you could make the argument that we know the least about the season than ever before. I mean, take Washington State take this conference. This conference is a perfect example. The whole fucking conference is transfer quarterbacks, with the exception of Cam Rising and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Every other team, I think, right? Am I drawing? Am I fucking? Oh, and Oregon State.
You know what? That's Patty C's conference championship game.
Boom. There it is. Consistency wins out.
There you go.
He's got Tour has Utah versus Oregon. So we all agree.
Chalk City 3802. Thanks for tuning in though, brother. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. We fucking talk college football year round around here. And next week we got a lot of other episodes coming out, but Big Ten, SEC coming next Wednesday. But before then, we got a couple others. Check us out. Subscribe as we break down all 131 teams. We're only like 22 away from the end of the alphabet and done with all 131. Subscribe. Also, remember, subscribe to the College Football Experience. And remember, subscribe on YouTube. You can watch these things. Check out the youtube.com/the college experience. Check us out. Folks, if you can, get over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, because we had comments like that one before. All right, that's doing nothing. All right, come on, we need some. For every 3-star review we get from Kratom Breath, we need like 10 5-star reviews. Say some nice things about us. It only takes a minute out of your day, people. Come on. Last year we hit at 71% on our locks. I feel like if you listen to us, you bet that you cashed. It's the least you can do. Give us that 5-star review. If you do that, take a screenshot of your review. Find us on Twitter at TCE on SGPN, or me on Twitter at DColbyD. Show us that, and we're gonna enter you in a raffle for a gift card. But it's only a few people. You're gonna win. You're gonna fucking win at some point. All right. We're gonna rig this thing like a David Stern lottery. All right. So do that. Patty C is on Twitter at Patty C831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC_NICK. Give us a follow, subscribe, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Ryan Kramer just did a fantasy football draft for 24 hours live on air. All right. And they're breaking down all 32 NFL teams. Subscribe, check out all that good stuff. Check out the whole platform Discord channel. We're already talking tons of college football futures. If you like this show, you're going to want to go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, because if you hop in the Discord channel, this is 365, 24/7, 365, whatever the fuck you want to say. We're talking college football and every other sport you can think of. You want to know who's going to win the badminton game going on in New Delhi? I bet you that Discord channel's probably got you going. All right, folks. This is the College Football Experience. Pac-12, Big 12, and independent preview. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
What the fuck did I do wrong, Tom?
Thank you. Well, that's a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
He's the kind of guy that'll bring a gallon of gasoline so he can tip in your campfire.
It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name.
Our coaching did a horrible job. The players did a horrible job. We got our ass kicked in the second half. It sucked. It stunk.